Merlin is the most powerful demon king in the world, and yet one of the employees had to retire from his position in order to pay all his debts accumulated, and he decided to move. Merlin runs away from his responsibilities to the continent of humans. He hides his true strength and pretends to be an ordinary person. He is not capable of anything until he becomes famous. In the city, there is the worst one, Casal, and it is not working. Merlin Lucifer is our hero now. Merlin is sitting in his palace writing his weekly report, and suddenly he's out of the army. Bashari is not expected, known as the church band. He attacks the palace and fights the demon soldiers. His little sister Lilith came down for him. She dealt with the situation and used the magic of gravity. Her darkness to make her enemies fight, some but in one human soldier, his will, very strong, completely magic resistant. This soldier isn't he the third hero in the Land of Light? I was shocked and finally understood the magic of attraction. Her stuff doesn't work with women, so she decided to take it more direct way and tried to joke and seduce she told her that she wanted her in a group, her statues. But before you get far, she took out her sword and started a full-fledged battle with her. She wasn't the only one who could hit her. He made her think that the heroine of this generation is nothing. She is special and normal. Her words are very nice. She responded forcefully and pulled out all the power of the legendary sword. She didn't take the matter seriously. She attacked the sword with her hair material from the dragon's strings, but the sword crossed along the way. And how dangerous is the legendary sword? A little while ago, I rode Lilith and used her powers, magic, to tie Lilith's hands and feet with. With Lilith's defeat, the human soldiers celebrated their victory. Then Merlin exploded and got angry and threw his paper on the side, and Repeat intervenes himself at the same time with defeat, or the enemy is not confident in itself. She decided to challenge the Demon King, so she went to the leader. Their band is the legendary magician and asked him. He walks on Merlin's palace, but the legendary wizard insisted that he was the one who would kill the king. The devil's himself, the king who killed the number no, he is admired by human soldiers and heroes throughout the years, and that is the reason for the failure of all campaigns. Theirs, every time. Then he revealed his weapon, the ultimate war god, in the form of a whale of power. No, it can be imagined that he would destroy everything in. She objected and told them that we don't need to go there to this extent, but the legendary magic was designed. He wants to eliminate all the demons, believing that this is his goal. The real warrior did the whale and opened his mouth big to launch plasma blast, destructive magic, intent burning the demon soldiers in an instant. At this moment, Merlin Lucifer came out and stood in front of his soldiers and carried. Soldiers can easily attack without getting hurt. Whatever, Merlin pulled his hair and started extracting his energy. And then he went down to the battlefield and fell straight to the brain. Isn't this a challenging act? The other Laith immediately hugged her brother, complaining about the cruelty of the people who annoyed her and the ones who still do under them. In the end, you were able to escape from under his legs. His legs started to shake and complain, but Merlin ignored her. Call us Yasa, Lila. Who is the silly girl? So the kingdom sent her to hunt Merlin. Jerry turned to look at her pretty face. With the touch of his finger, she flew away in the sky. He was joking and said that it was clear that the Land of Light had remained. They choose heroes by chance, not even me. I need to go out in the summer because most of them are stressed. This whale can ease his damned heartache at least 2 days. Then the legendary wizard, he looked in front of him and said to Merlin, I came because of this. I return to you the insult you made during the campaign. The one who missed Merlin looked at him in surprise and said to him, What insult? What did you carry? Who are you anyway? Uncle. The Berlin elder finally remembered him and said, Ah, you. Not the coward who wets his clothes and keeps crying because of this. I left him and he told me that if I left him, he would send soldiers to me as a gift. so I can practice on them." The words fell. "You hit the soldiers, and they can't believe that their leader reached this level and behaved like this. Merlin is a liar, and his house is full of horrors." In an attempt, desperate, he gathered all the magical energy of his soldiers and transferred it to the whale to increase its strength. Only 5 times. Merlin didn't think it was even worth moving. He cut his hair off his head before the whale could attack. Merlin pulled out his dark sword, and with one strike, Merlin started begging to leave him and threw the color. It's all up to Alice to say the attack was her idea. Suddenly, the bells of the palace were hit, making them think that the meeting of the 7 kings, Jehovah and Merlin. I think he hasn't written the report for the week yet. He was terrified and tried to quickly return the palace. His soldiers stood there in shock. It was the king of demons. She tried to stop him in the middle of the road and said, "Wait, we are still in the middle of the battle." Merlin ended with one blow. One sword wiped out all the people from the second arena. The only one who survived while she was protecting her same shield returned to the palace and entered the meeting with, "By the demon kings," and everyone knew that he was not. He made no progress in the land of darkness, no profits, no achievements, and not even a report. Merlin tried to defend of humans and put a flying giant. That's not a job either, but no one cared. They told him, "We want numbers and profits of the palace, needs money to search, not the bodies of enemies." And they began to compare his achievements with their achievements. It turned out that he was the only one who did not. He did nothing but be lazy. They called him the worst king of devils in history and decided to reduce the field. Next week, they will tear him down until he explodes and says, "I am the one who killed millions and protected the first palace alone. I was the reason you all lived together. Now, no one can do what I did." But the rest were not affected and told him that everything, once he goes down to the battlefield and causes destruction, terrible king of lust took out a long paper with everything on it. The destruction caused by Merlin destroyed the pipeline's times because all of this costs a lot. They were cutting from the monotony of the biggest shot came out. He owes the kingdom $1 trillion, and that's why. The real thing that makes him afraid of paperwork, the one who refuses to resign, is imprisoned and doesn't know how to resign. He doesn't run away. He has to work to pay off the debt. The disastrous meeting. Merlin decided to run away and said he leaves the final palace and flees from debt. He tries to get out without anyone noticing him. Last night, she appeared and showed him the misery and scared him. He told her about his plan. The legendary thing is that the first thing that will disappear is the rest. They will know you and beg him to come back. And he started laughing. He imagines his legendary return, but Lilith remembered. He was fired, and he resigned himself because of it. Treats the heart of the cursed one that gets smaller and smaller every little while. This curse really exists, but it is clear that he uses it as an excuse. The only thing that makes him feel better. The pain is temporary because he is fighting strong enemies. Merlin said he would travel the world and search for the strongest opponents to lift this curse once and for all. Lilith believed his words, but preferred to insist that he not. She walks knowing that her brother will not be able to live a day. One outside the palace, because frankly he doesn't know. He does anything but fight. Merlin, all of a sudden, comes out with a calamity and says that he owes $1 trillion for the rest of the demon kings. Even if he stayed here, he will have to work until he dies to pay off the debt. This religion is the first thing you hear about the astronomical number. Then she immediately changed her mind and decided to expel him and said to him, he goes looking for a new job and doesn't come back until he finds himself. He came with the money to pay off the debt. Return, she stayed on the battlefield, pretending to be dead, so that she don't see Lilith walking as if she were in a clearing in the middle of the ruins. Imagine that all the people evaporate from the battle and there is no one left except isn't it very normal for Lilith to notice it? And actually, Lilith, you see her and think she's dead, and you say to yourself, it is forbidden by God something like this will leave so early and with what? Lily's has this weird hobby, collecting models. I thought you would take a body and let it be part of her group, but it is heavy. The shield will tire her out, so it's easier if you take it, her head. But as soon as she tries to finish it off, Lily suddenly moves and collapses from laughter and says, she knew from the beginning that this girl, I'm just pretending. But this time, Lilith doesn't want to laugh. She intends to punish her because she embarrassed her in front of her brother. She knows she has no chance, so she runs away. Of course, you love the cat and mouse game, so you turn out to be two wolves, and behind the scenes to catch them at the same time, Merlin was on his way to the coast, wanting to cross the Sea of the Devils to escape from this continent. From far away, he is happy when he sees the remaining ships of the army of the greatest magician, but as soon as he reaches the port, he discovers that all the ships are destroyed and finally understands the strike that he used before in order to wiping his enemies from existence is the same blow that all the ships were bombed. The problem is that the demons, they don't know how to swim, and they don't even think about going underwater. The water is so hard. Merlin is in trouble and doesn't know how he leaves this island with a small boat, only rowing this distance of the sea is not hard for him, and not suddenly, who is running towards him? The terrified, and the wolves are after her. She feels that her end is near, and here she remembers her teacher's words, the one who always told her not to be a heroine. You are still weak. You won't be able to face the fighters. I have never heard of anyone other than humans. I want fame. And it remains invalid. But life is not easy. With her teacher in the snowy mountains, it made her feel like she will never see the prince she dreams of. Now that she was in the middle of death, she understood that he had the world really scary. She says, let me live, but this time I promise you I won't go out unless you let me out. I am strong enough to gather my strength and succeed in killing one of them goes. But the other turns into a shape the devil wipes the earth with it. At the last breath, you cry and scream and say, I'm still. I want to love, marry, and have children before I die. And then the lazy falsehood will descend from the sky. Merlin and the terrifying wolf try to take care of his puppies. Latifa Merlin looks at Alice and thinks about her devilish idea, and he says, I will make her my slave. He exploited her for free work and told her it was half a business. I saved you twice, so technically you are a king. Now you pay the debt and become my slave. Don't hesitate to pick her up and throw her into the boat. The little guy has a plan that he will leave her alone. The one who rows instead of getting tired is the one who is sitting and crying. On her luck, she says, I came to kill a king. The devils took glory and fame and married the prince. Handsome. Now I am holding a piece of wood and paddling like slaves. But Merlin is standing on the ship, moving. He is a farmer and acts like a king. He tells her that you are lucky because it is an honor. You are my slave, you are still saying it is my honor. Abdo, without salary or leave, and yet she continues blasphemy and you say, angrily, I will insult you back. This is double. Wait until we reach my country and it starts emptying. All the expensive rowing and speeding up the boat. Crazy, the waves are high and the boat is rocking. Merlin is standing still. When you look, you find his leg attached to the boat to maintain its balance. The day ends, the night enters, it's over. I am very tired from all the rowing. While Merlin suddenly pulls out a gas stove from nowhere, he cooks his food hot for himself while he smells it. Merlin said coldly, Did you stop? Why rowing? What a failed champion I've ever seen. My life is over now, it's on fire, and I can't take it anymore. Do you believe that someone with this much impudence lived in? The world has endured a lot, but the cup has flown away. She grabbed the stick and shouted at him, saying, I'm fed up with you, and I can't take it anymore, and I threw it in his face. Merlin offered to get her back to work. She took her hands from his food first. Her dignity is not enough to let her agree, but her stomach started to churn. She said, "Okay," and sat down to eat. Suddenly she found the food. It was so unnaturally delicious that she started crying. She says, "I really don't have a personality. My teacher from now on, just the smell of meat." She was bitten by a shark and said in fear, she ran and threw herself into Merlin's lap. Merlin stayed with just one look. Sharks are so terrifying that they ran away like mice. She still stood there confused and said, "Why did they run away suddenly?" Merlin took advantage the opportunity as usual. He told her with all arrogance, "Because the strongest creature in the whole ocean is me." But I don't believe it. She wanted to see him and said, "Uncle, I heard that there is a sea monster lives here. I hope it doesn't come out." Suddenly, a bad smell came over us, so she said to him, "We used to paint our ships with dragon dung, legendary, so that monsters don't get close to Berlin." First, when he heard this, he understood why he was angry. "They smell bad." I kept explaining the matter to him. Long, boring, that rose is more valuable than gold. The problem is that this dragon disappeared a long time ago. My eyes sparkled. If this is true, he can sell dragon dung and pay off all his debts. It doesn't work. So I found a crystal necklace in the dirt, demonic monsters, and he already has the legendary dragon named Pookie Merlin Farah. He said he will use his head to pay debts, but suddenly his hand slipped and the crystal Merlin fell into the sea and he can't swim. The idea was lost, so he was forced to complete the journey with, "Didn't the land of the ocean of light suddenly become silent? One fish swims." Merlin understands that there is a monster, a big one, was close, and suddenly a sea monster appeared in front of them. Merlin, as usual, did nothing and said, "I don't know that Rafsham took the initiative and left. I stabbed him with a sword and he didn't get a single scratch." The opposite is true. The beast, Merlin, got more angry and tried to convince him to shake them the land and work to achieve in his life. The beast replied to Biska. Then the monster started sucking all the water in order to the boat is about to break down, and here is Merlin. Finally, he grabbed his sword and with one blow cut it into two halves. She said, "The market stood shocked. So you..." True, he is arrogant and rude, but oh my goodness. He spoke up, and the creature actually exists. The rest of the journey is walking the jasmine, and as soon as they arrived at the beach, Merlin sat and he sighed and said, "How tiring this trip was." As for me, I exploded and told him, "You didn't do anything, you liar." He told her coldly, "How do you mean? I directed you wisely. Without my orders, you haven't reached the shore yet." He said to her in a very rude manner, "You are slow, unsuccessful, and not worthy of my attention. Consider me your heroine." She got angry and said to him, "Oh, you ill-mannered person, I don't want to see you again." Originally, he turned around, but Merlin turned to her again and said, "She said to me, 'Wait, I need you for something,' when suddenly she stopped." He took off her armor, and she stood shocked and embarrassed, but Merlin said to her calmly, "No, don't think wrong. I will only sell the shield. I don't have any money. And you have to pay the price because I saved your life in front of the monster." He took some and ran, leaving her hanging on halfway to the palace. His sister Lilith was sitting laughing, sure that his loser brother will come to her. He is a creep after seeing the difficulty of life outside. So I returned to the city, and the surprise was that it was withdrawn. The judge appeared before the court, acting like a criminal. "You are the reason for the death of your soldiers, and you also lost the shield of the Muthra that heroes inherited from generations. The verdict is to withdraw the title of champion from her, and she pays million gold compensation." Tried to defend herself and says that the shield was stolen from a king of the devils, but no one believed them. The sentence was carried out. A whole year has passed, and she said now she is on a ship. You fight Krosney, and you are much stronger than her. The mayor's daughter saved the children. They were excited. They killed her, but kept laughing at her weakness. He was fighting with the sword, and when they were about to finish her off, suddenly a surprise happened. Teacher, a real man. He came down from the sky like a rocket and landed on our chairs. From the order of the Holy Tire, he trampled on them with his feet. He doesn't notice that they are flat under him. The man stood there surprised and asked where he was. These are the ones who look at him and say, "Uncle, "You are standing on them with your foot." And here it became clear that this is not just anyone. He just disguises himself as a human being. The reason for his coming is that his heart aches from the curse. Scary, and he wants to have some fun with some blood to lighten up his mood. Before he started, he stood up politely and said, "The guards, sorry guys, it's not a personal matter." The sword and one strike just wiped him out of existence. This strike not only their area, but also made waves. Shocking, it blew up the reserve ships that were, "I am waiting for her as support," right? I don't know yet he is the king of demons because she has never seen his face before. Then her mind wandered and she started dreaming that this mysterious man is her romantic knight. She walked towards him slowly, just to see his face. Merlin flew off a Superman before you could reach him. Then the newspaper Al Akbar brought a report live from the accident, and they said that the rescue fleet, it was all wiped out by a mysterious criminal known in the country named Nightblade. Stole the mic from the broadcaster, said, "He's not a criminal, guys, he's a hero. He is the one who got rid of the chairs and started to melt in it. I have never seen a swordsman this soft in my life. I really like him." Anyway, I went back to her house and found she collected 5,000 gold and became a monster 5,000 gold. She was happy and said, that's it. I only have 1,000 gold and get rid of this debt." She stood shocked and said, "I was in a black disaster. I cursed Merlin." She said, "Not only did he ruin my reputation, he also put me in debt. I can never finish it." She is angry and she hit tables that hold water on the papers. The one that came to her from the veil, while she was reviewing it, found a mission with a reward of 1,000 gold, and the required information is the man is sitting on people in the south. Of course, who was Merlin and the provocative smile, his drawing on the paper started to doubt. Then she said, "No, the king of demons can't reach us to the point that he remains responsible for people." The important thing is that she left the paper, and before she left, she looked at Nightblade's back photo. Let's get back to Merlin himself. He has a whole year left to register as a Hungarian. What is required? His pride was broken. Not that they expelled him, but that he was rewarded. But 1,000 gold is a trivial amount that makes his whole picture. He collapsed and sat planting seeds until his stomach gurgled. He was hungry and stopped acting and started telling us about his luck. Nikitas's big plan is to sell the shield, the meter that remains a billionaire today. Act all the money in how many weeks of his time. He lives on swindling and parasiting people. He just lives and that's it. While he was walking, he came across a small town and decided to enter it. But before he entered, 2 thieves stood in front of him. Before they tell him to bring what you have with you, Merlin did a universe move on them and said, "Bring it. You who are with the thieves." Stood confused. Is he a thief like us or what? He told them, "I am bankrupt, but leave me the sword." The thieves are greedy and they said to him, "Bring me the sword." Merlin laughed and said, "If your cheap faces will not be around again." Of course, the thieves mocked and said, "What horror." One of them started showing off and cutting an apple in the style of the person next to him impressed me, but Merlin is strongest sword in the world that did not shake a hair or a hair. Show them what he really means by holding the young man. He stood behind him and pulled out the big sword. It was cut in two and turned out to be a real ghoul in disguise. The little one collided and turned out to be a ghoul, but he ran away. He was terrified and dropped the apple from his cheek and ate it. It was okay and continued on his way to the town. The runaway ghoul came back. The king of the ghouls went to his king and told him what happened to the king. He considered it an opportunity and made a peace treaty with humans, but in reality, this was his plan from the beginning. He sent his children. They are disguising themselves as humans to provoke people. Now, when someone finally fell into the trap, he declared war. His soldiers loot the town and take the women and the children as slaves. And on the other side, tonight she received a letter from Merlin in which he wrote that, "Live your bones in the land of light. Break the huge and serve in the hundreds."
The truth is a tent and 2 rams, he tells you.
He is also very popular, and women run after him because it's an autograph, but in reality, they are fishermen. We want to reassure Life that he is happy and not. He will return unless the rest of the Demon Kings send him. He has a formal written apology. I was happy with the words. She said, "Thank God. I won't die worrying about him." Merlin in town entered the shop and finished. The shop owner's bodyguard got nervous when Merlin knew who was in front of him, so he stopped and said to him, "Look at me. It's a good thing I'm the king of pride." From breaking, the first devil saw the man and said, "You." The southern beggar, Merlin was shocked by his entire image. I was destroyed by his frivolous adventures. The man started screaming and said, "The southern taifa is here." In seconds, the whole world gathered around him. Merlin ran. He shouts and says, "I am not a child." While he is walking like a child, he saw him and said to him, "You look really cool if you do that." "Show me that money?" Merlin was standing, trying. He looks a little bit like a little kid, but in the end, the moment he pulled his hand away and didn't take out the sword, he said, so it's not, he wants to take the risk and get hurt, but he feels that he did something wrong. Show enough, and as usual, he asked for money and asked for. The guy went too far. He wasn't easy. He said to him, "You're a scammer. Instead of laughing at people, go look for someone else. Work, you unemployed Merlin. I am annoyed by your lack of manners." The boy, who was only 6 years old and the ice was stolen from him, he took the cream from his hand and threw it on the ground. I shouted at him and said to him, "You are a devil." But Merlin is not. He didn't take her here. On the contrary, he smiled and said, "Yes, no, I am really a devil," and he walked and left the boy behind him. At that moment, a car stopped in front of the place, and I got out, including Alice with some adventurers she is now in. One of the group was surprised and said, "How didn't he lose his heroine title?" And he's still asking. The man who bought Merlin's armor turned out to be a writer. A new book was announced to the public. He tells in detail how the king of demons was enslaved. The hero was torturing her physically and psychologically. This guy heard the whole story from Merlin. He sold him the shield. She stood shocked and said, "What is this nonsense? You tried to convince the girl who was with them in the team. This talk is a lie and did not happen." The girl believed the man who sells books and said, "Have mercy on her. Don't worry. Everyone has a past." She wanted to forget him, so she had a breakdown and said to herself, Is this what they call social life? I am depressed because of the scandal, especially when I learned that the book has been followed by more than 3 million copies. After I tried to get out of the shock, the group returned to focus on its next mission. They are chasing a gang of goblins living in a nearby cave from Curry. But suddenly, the next one...
I expected this. I certainly did not expect the girl to be. She was going to be killed, so her lover had to make a deal with a magician, the goblins, to save her. We go back to the bar. Merlin, who was still new to the job, is half employed, and the broken text is true that he delivers orders quickly, but customers wanted to hear what was said. The classic, "Please enjoy." With the drink, Merlin did not care, and the customer told me, "God, that I serve you myself." The strange thing is that he is annoying to men, but as soon as he sees a woman, he captures his heart. He changes and becomes a very respectful waiter with them and distributes free cake and offers to flip the room. All women and men are in love with him. They are going out with anger and their hearts are still burning. The bar owner is very happy because drink sales are at a premium. She praised Merlin and told him that he was a performer. Heavy caliber. Merlin, of course, puffed up and said he must record this and show it to the referees. The other two, who think it's just 0 on the left, he was talking to her. Martha told him that all the girls, the city, are talking about him, and they don't forget him. She had an idea to take advantage of the opportunity and spread it. I heard about it in the Berlin Journal the first time I heard about it. This word made his heart sink, because he knew that if I took a picture of him, his reputation as the most dangerous demon king has spread, and she got stained, or she went to Marsa and said to her, "Leave her, Come on, I want to live in peace. Other than that, I promise to serve every customer with dedication. His sweet words touched Martha's heart so much. It may have actually happened. But the big thing is that her son, Henry, can't stand the situation. The boy feels that Merlin is a parasite. On the margin, he will be a new father to him, and this is the end of it. He wouldn't let her pass, so he warned him and told him, "If you even think about touching her, my mother will beat you up." Merlin hit you outside and laughed and said that. Okay, but inside, he wanted to give it to the guy. Education, after a while, was going on. The city is looking for a homeless person to expel. Until I heard Henry standing there, hitting a tree and saying loudly, "I'll show you." You went to him and showed him the wanted person's photo. And the guy doesn't understand anything and doesn't take a watch for Merlin's evil smile. The picture, he said to her, "Yes, he works in my mother's bar. He makes women laugh and makes them drink. This is a gain. The year's profits in a few days, but I did not believe that it was him. But the men of the village came and told her, 'Take a little gold and hit him, because he took our women from us.' I agreed and went back to the tavern to check if the world was okay. The world is upside down there. All the women are screaming." Anrian went to Merlin, who was pretending to be Daisy, the magician and the dancer Salsa. Overpower is strong, and although his eyes are hidden, but his smile is the same as the one in the picture the required time, then made sure that Alice was really him. But she didn't want to make a fuss big, because she knows that he always knows how to escape. She decided to approach him quietly, but suddenly the lights headed towards her and Merlin saw her first. Of course, he didn't know her and told her that she would dance with him. After a while, I think she was the heroine of the half of what was. He has been enslaving her for a year, and at the same time, he is her prisoner. When the goddess knew that this homeless person was not just anyone, the king of demons himself took fear away from her. The first thing she remembered was what he did to her, and ruined her life, turned out to be foolish, and she tried to stab him quickly in Merlin's face. As usual, dodges her blows, all of them, and said to her, "Calm down, my daughter. We were old friends," but she replied and said to him, "You are not my friend. I want to take my rights." Merlin went crazy and said, "No, tell them the truth," but she kept crying and saying, "He gave me back my shield." The tavern was closed for them to open the situation, and her heart was also broken. She remembers N.S. This is his friend, yes, my love, and she told him to solve his problems with her. First, Merlin got nervous and told him, "Enough tears remain. If anyone deserves to cry, I am not you. You ruined the show and ruined my reputation. I didn't even get your money tonight," but she said she saw what he did was right and told him to come back to her. "The shield and I will leave you alone." Merlin did not understand, and he told her, "This was a gift from you, so I could save you this many times. And even if I take it from you, it is my right. Your country plundered the land of darkness for years. She doesn't care. I want to turn it over and that's it. So you can return it to the kingdom and pay." Merlin simply told him. He sold her debt. Tens of millions and spent the money. And it was hers. He told her calmly, "Don't worry. It was just junk." She got angry and told him she would arrest him if he didn't. "You didn't give me back my shield?" Merlin laughed an evil laugh and said, "Are you kidding me? I killed a monster with one hit. The sea and the boat scared your country to the point that they landed dragon dung in their boats. You think you are? Or anyone here can catch me. I know she's with him." Right. She threw her sword and said to Merlin, she owes the country about 5 million gold. Merlin was very impressed because all year long,
It's gone and it's nothing but a few thousand scattered gold coins, here and there, but it reaches 1 million. For him, it's a crazy thing. But what happened to me is nothing. He didn't realize that it was all his fault. With all her heart, she began to explain to him how the kingdom was. She threw all this burden on her because of the shield and the debts are paid, but Merlin doesn't care about it. Adventurers asked her seriously, and there are rewards, big and legendary level enemies, because he needs money and strong opponents to live off of. He couldn't let this opportunity pass him by, so he asked her, "How do you know he is an adventurer?" After he found out, the steps tried to sympathize with her and said, "We are friends. For a long time I have dreamed of becoming an adventurer." But she said she saw the lies flying from his eyes. She told him to pull himself together and walk at the same time. Henry, son of Martha, was upset and did not want to return the house where the vile parasite Merlin is located, walking around the city gate in the middle of the night, and then the man who made the deal before came. With the goblin wizard, the man said to the guard, "Open." The gatekeeper refused to go first because of the base. "You say there are no gates that open after midnight." The man tried to convince him and said that he had lost all his friends. On a mission, he is the only one who survived. The guard is on his neck. He opened it for him, but he did not know that there was an army of goblins hiding behind it as soon as the gate opened. The goblins launched a full-scale attack, and the magic that worked the deal with the man was the first one to betray him, and he said to him, "Join your companions as the slaves of the goblins. They will never die." They negotiated. Henry saw the scene and heard everything. The bell hid behind the curtain, and he was terrified from the side. The second time she went outside to calm down, I preferred to think about how the naked dancing devil, he still wanted to work as an adventurer. She was upset that "You know that it is impossible for you to take the 50 from him. The gold that they agreed upon is impossible to hold. And as soon as she gets involved with him in anything else, it's a bigger disaster, but the only one now is in." She meets her dream knight, Nightblade. She's convinced that he will save her from Merlin, but suddenly, as she was walking, she found the houses around her on fire at the same time. 2 huge goblins. They entered the tavern. Merlin thought they were welcome customers. He said to them, "Welcome," but the goblins said, "They're coming to ransack the place, Merlin." He simply grabbed them, threw them outside, and said to the customers, "There is no need to panic." And this won their hearts again. Martha started to worry what brought the goblins. Now she remembered that her son Henry hasn't returned yet. She ran out to look for him and said to Merlin, "Hold on." Merlin decided to take action against the waves of Hannah himself. The goblins are entering one after another. The second after he finished them off, he grabbed his sword and left. He helps Martha, not because she is heroic, but because if he was injured and he will not get his money, his inheritance was over, she would see her son, but the goblins got there before her and took her away in order to make her their slave. Henry wanted. He helped, but his legs were frozen in place, and he knew that any attempt would end in his death. On the other hand, Merlin is walking in the middle of the chaos. It's as if he's on a walk and any demon that comes near him finds him. He himself died in the second when she stopped him and said to him, "I'm sure you made a deal with the goblins." So that, how can a heroine have such low intelligence? Legendary Demon King come down and help with, how can it be that the goblins are impossible to ignore and walk away? She said to him, "Come on, let's cooperate and save the people and expel them." Merlin, the goblin, replied and said to him, "It's not for free gold." She was shocked and asked him, "How do I pay you? And I owe 50 million because of you." Merlin told her, "Okay, you'll have to pay it yourself." He walked away and left her. She was forced to defend the village by herself and started using her ice magic. Except one fret after the other, even though they started have more one another until a wizard appeared. The goblin said, "Even if you are a witch of the thorns, it is impossible for you to win. You were fighting a whole army by yourself." And suddenly a little demon came. He ran away as soon as he saw Merlin and started crying. Magic warriors use the eyes of their demons too. He made sure that people were standing there terrified. He said that he saw the monster man. Like the goblin flies half of their fighters to the other side from the city, the fortune teller, the genie, was looking out from. I sold my eyes and I saw what Merlin was doing. His terrifying power made her understand that the situation would be a disaster if Merlin and Alice united together. She said to herself, "No, this is not what we thought of," and she decided the best solution now is to withdraw, and suddenly, I hit the embassy of Hadath, and all the goblins withdrew from the city, but the city did not have mercy. Many people lost their families, their mothers, their sisters, and their children were kidnapped and taken by the goblins.
At this moment, a strange man appears in front of them, very suspicious, as if he were a demon dressed as a human. This man offered to protect people only. In return, I want gold, and poor people, they agreed because they were measuring, and I think that, a strong upper-class guard who can save their loved ones, but this fat man turned against them. He told them to forget the past and think about the future. The future and their families are often dead. The goblin's hand suddenly became the cause of all the troubles. All of this shows and tells people that the cheese is still... They left their families as slaves in the caves. The guard is not. I believe him because he's the same one that Merlin laughed at. He made him open the gate, and all the people turned around. They surrounded the man and started insulting him and saying to him, "The traitor," and the fat man also entered the path. He wanted to hurt him, but the police came in quickly and protected him. She started explaining to them the situation that made the man Take your weapons and come with me to save the people who they were kidnapped to prove that she was up to the responsibility. She told them that she was the third champion of the kingdom. This talk made people doubt her more because rumor has it that she sold herself as a slave to a king. The fat man rode the wave and said, "Don't believe this. Let's hit them both. We take revenge for what we lost." I understood right away that this guy is a curse, so I gave him a blanket and made him sit on it. The earth was silent, and then it said to the people again, "What? Don't be cowards. Let's confront them and save them. But no one will waltz moved by itself." Then Henry got nervous. He told people that they are cowards and decided that he would not stay like them. He went to help Alice and entered the tavern to take his father's old sword. The road met two huge goblins that had not yet been. They left the city and tried to kill them bravely, but I was humiliated by them, and I was about to get over it. Thank God, Merlin. He came at the last moment, saved him, and struck. The goblin is very upset because he has to work extra. Martha and the goblins don't leave him alone. Merlin said to Henry, "Go to sleep." Henry was late. He replied to him and said, "How can I sleep? My mother was taken from the goblin." Merlin said to him, "Think wisely. Don't try to play the hero. Weak like this, you will act rashly and get lost." Henry told him, I know that I am weak and I will not be able to do much, but no. So I just sit and watch without doing anything? With her courage, she is going to save everyone alone, and even if you were not as strong as my hero Nightblade, come and save my mom, whatever happened." This touched something inside him. Merlin remembered a moment ago when he and his sister, they were young and trying to protect their mother. Zachariah, very fast, but it showed that Merlin had a heart inside him, and there is humanity hidden behind all the mockery and sarcasm. Merlin finally decided to leave. The devil printed it a little and said, "Okay, not this time." He acted like a devil and went to save Martha before. What comes out, he took out a sword and told Henry that he must feel with honor so that he may see the ruler of pride. He fights for the sake of humanity. But as soon as he leaves, the city is completely empty. There is no one there, not even a single idiot. They disappeared, so he has to look for their hiding place. Oh, what a headache! Luckily, he heard a bunch of stuff. They said that they were going to the Cave of the Owls, so he said, "I will kill you guys, calm down, by myself." But these people looked at him and said to him, "No, uncle." He tried to convince him that he was a warrior, strong, but they burst out laughing and said to him, "You are nothing but a dancer who shakes his waist for the girls in the tavern here." Henry tried to defend him and said, "What, guys? He saved my life before and defeated me. He was stupid." But no one believed Merlin. "Your shoulders are the salvation, uncle. Be the leader. You will get hot. And on the other side, there is a cave. Goblin King, strong, broadsword, what they did. And their teacher was standing there. You brag and say that this is just the beginning. We will plunder the city at any time." The king tried to speak, but she interrupted him and said to him, "He takes up much screen time and dies quickly. I warned him of the two annoying ones Merlin had seen before, and she is confident that they will come back, but she is reassured because she has set traps that no one can stop. It's over. Merlin and the group have arrived." Of course, Henry rushed like a camel and ran into the goal and did a fire barrier, and Merlin went in with him like that. He acted as if he didn't care about the witches. She went out with her gang and said, "It's better to surrender. You all get burned." And then the fat one that was acting bravely, all his bravery was gone and remained. He trembled and said, "Save us, Merlin, for God's sake." Merlin sighed and said, "Oh, what a headache." The guard is walking in the middle of the warm steam of the goblins. They started to applaud and cheer the witch, while she was happy.
She suddenly finds Merlin joining them. He is also clapping and wearing an evil smile. His Andy appears behind her like the last leader. He asked her coldly, "What makes you laugh?" The woman was shocked. She said to him, "How are you still alive? Who are you?" Exactly this simple question created an existential crisis. For Merlin, he is a demon lord, not a garrison. I knew that the king of demons works as a waiter in a local tavern. Oh my, what a scandal. He took her out safely and said, "I am Daisy, the waiter." The friendly result is not one that affected the opposite. The stupid males went crazy from his enchanting beauty. She was disgusted and pulled out her weapon, but Merlin approached her calmly, held her hand and said, "Don't waste your men's lives. Salma, Martha." And that's it, his eyes started shining like an anime hero romantic. She almost fell into the trap, but suddenly it happened. She said, "Do you think I'll be affected by you?" And she said, "I'm stronger." A fire spell on her, but not a hair from her Merlin was burned. On the contrary, he sneezed, and the sneeze came back, attacked them, they wiped them, and the witch, she got a small slap on her cheek. It flew like a rocket and hit the mountain far away. With her silence, all the traps were disabled and people remained. It's hot inside the cave, there are still a few children. Suddenly the light disappeared and the broken glass appeared. It looks like he died a long time ago, but as soon as he stood up, he felt his strength. I felt that her level was at least magical. Merlin can't find his way in the cave every now and then. He gets lost, turns left, goes right. The ruler of pride is not. He is able to solve the maze, but the one that fell into the hands of the king, the gibbling grabbed her and squeezed her as if he was playing with dolls. Her strongest attack is the absolute 0-3 hits. One after another, and then an ice pick picks you, his stomach, but the surprise was that the king saw himself, and with six-pack muscles, he broke his armor with one punch, and he humiliated her in a second on the other side. The hostage escaped, and Merlin finally got rid of Martha. Martha did not have time to respond. She grabbed his hand and told him to run, but to pass by, not from here. He cut the goblin with just one hit, and all the people I stood shocked by his strength. One of the adventurers, the one who caused all this disaster, said, "Please save her. Didn't she sacrifice herself for you?" Merlin runs away, internally arguing with himself, and says, "We still need it to join the union. If you save her, your salary will triple." Merlin got really mad when the adventurer told him to slap her. He wants money, so he stands and says to her proudly, "I am not. He is a greedy man, madam, but man, he is literally not." A sentence he says and ends it with the sentence, "Where is the money?" The goblin hall is full of goblins' passports, and the king was of the rank of the holier at that time. Merlin and Dene, what did you stop? This is gold, and his enemy is strong. Exactly what he needs to live a little longer. Without thinking for a moment, he ran inside like a rocket the cave and left the women behind him. I think he is a legendary hero inside, offering his life in danger to save his beloved Merlin. The long corridor inside the cafe, and the door is broken. The giant entered the hall. When the king of the ghouls saw him, he made himself evil and started giving evil speeches, this long boring thing, but Merlin headed towards it completely. His eyes were fixed on the pile of money behind him. The young king feels that he has found the treasure. He has been looking for it all his life, and the card was erased. The king of the road like this is simply like the one who moved a chair and jumped on the gold. The king of fools, we were shocked how this boy came to us and took the booty that I stole with the sweat of the wicked man's brow. But Merlin said to him with all his might, "Shut up, come on." His left hand was like a toy. Then he went to free the Eshi. When he first saw her in this condition, his heart ached a little, not because she is strong, but because he was afraid that she might inherit Alice. She saw that she might lose some of his salary. She says his delivery was broken, even though she was still worried about the others. Merlin, he reassured them that they were fine, and then she lost consciousness. She fell, and he picked her up and put her on the ground. Then he turned his gaze to the gibbling king, who his hand is renewed. Merlin is tired of his confidence. The extra one is originally one strike man, and yet safe did not come out. He said, "Let me see what's going to happen." The Goblin King attacked him, and Merlin was, "It blocks all attacks." Without destroying any ground, the king asked who you are. Merlin said with all arrogance, "Your lowly level does not deserve to know my name, Daisy." The king felt that the valley was shaking him, so he was forced to reveal his final form and started preparing to strike, but Merlin said, "Okay, show me what you'll do. Yes, you can give me 2 more days." The king before Merlin is that he surrenders and stays.
"Follow him." Merlin burst out laughing and said to him, "Sorry, what?" I couldn't control my laughter. How could someone laugh so hard? Even the desert can't stand a part of it. You and I are not even suitable food for my dragon. The king got nervous and hit his ultimate technique, but no. Merlin, don't hit her towards the slime. Merlin! He calmly blocked the blow with his normal hand and said to him, "You are a scammer. How do you call yourself a thief? Weaker than my sister Lilith even." At that moment, Merlin was fed up, and the Goblin King took out his legendary sword first. He saw him and knew that he was in front of the ruler of pride, by himself. This is the sword that no one can lift. He changed it before Merlin could even beg for his sympathy. He wipes it from existence and returns it to dust,
and even though it is, he killed him, but his blow blew up the statue. Behind the throne came a second mountain of gold. Merlin. He entered the cloud of his dreams and began to imagine himself arriving, a bite of life, but the blow was too strong. The whole mountain above the cave is starting to collapse now. He has two options: take the money and leave the car, or save the devil and deposit the money in Jabal el-Fulus. The rational blue appeared and told him to take the money. The red devil told him to save the S. It will help you enter the Adventurers Guild, which means money, more and stronger hostility. After he thought about it, the future and its interests as well as its promise and its burden, Alice ran with her, outside the cafe, while he was crying tears of blood, abundant tears, not for Alice. No, these are tears for the mountain of gold that he left behind. When Henry left, he was the first one to thank him and tell him you saved him. Martha thought he was crying over the situation. The truth is he's still crying over money after that. In the tavern, Merlin is sitting next to the bartender. She lost consciousness. He sat thinking about whether to cure her or leave her. It's not enough that I lost a mountain of gold now. She needs something, all his plans will be ruined. So he said, okay, it's necessary. He treats it, but first, he has to take off his t-shirt. Who entered Martha and her son saw him in this situation, and they always thought that they were two. To take his time, and Merlin doesn't understand what's on their minds, is complete, it's normal or not. Something happened. After Merlin took off all her armor, she is so charming and attractive. He kisses her, but before that happens, he suddenly moves away from her, and he started to spit all over her body. Despite the view is disgusting, but Merlin's saliva is in his pot. Wait a minute. The whole room is full of bubbles. Saliva and all the wounds. Aren't they finally healed by power? This is one of Merlin's ultimate techniques, and because of that, he doesn't intend to do it again for free soon. And at this moment, the S, after what I was treated, and had a strange dream in which I met the deputy. She started to mumble while she was sleeping and said, "Oh, not only do you treat people, but you also give them." He sat in her room protecting her from any further danger. In the morning, she said she woke up to find Merlin had disappeared. The adventurous girl was waiting for her and told her everything that happened after she fainted from a king's blow. The goblins couldn't believe that Merlin was the one who... He saved her life, and she was shocked by the adventure. She said, "Don't be upset and don't hold love in your heart." "Oh, but this is a misunderstanding. He and I are enemies to no one." And in the end, the group of adventurers were. They're getting ready to leave the city. After they finished, they were paid by the union and thanked before they left. "I'm sorry for everything the girl did to them." "Just kidding," and she said to her, "By the way, I was in the room next to yours, and I heard laughter and jokes all the night." She couldn't believe that Merlin was with her. She was unconscious all the time, and I was even more surprised when she found herself without clothes. In the city, the events of the Battle of the Goblin, and there was a fat man who pretends to be the hero who saved the village alone and defeated the goblins, but as soon as he saw Merlin, looked at him sideways, then ran away quickly. Before the journalist is exposed, turned to Merlin, asked him about his opinion on the stupid gas. Merlin said with utmost confidence, "Nothing. I wiped them with one hand." The journalist looked again at the camera and said that the miracle is that the people, the villagers, were able to deal with the invaders with this courage. She then announced that she would do an interview coming soon with the previous heroine. No, whenever she was talking about the market, Alice was lucky. Who was kidnapped before by the Demon King, and then who is the king of the pirates, and today who is the king of the Ghibli? Merlin returned to the winery. There Martha, she told him that she was always looking for him. I think she definitely wants to thank him and express her gratitude to him. He saved her life. He made him laugh on his own the first time.
He entered her room and was surprised to see her attacking him with a sword. She cursed him and called him, "You pervert and devil." Merlin was shocked, grabbed her and put her on the wall and said to her, "What brought you here? You should thank me and return the favor after what I saved you again." But she didn't want to hear anything. She accused him of taking advantage of her while she was unconscious. He asked her to return the favor and recommend him as a supporter. Adventurer agreed to the opposite, and thus he resigned from his work and said goodbye to his girlfriends and even his aunts. Those who were bored with it also said goodbye to Martha. Henry said to the little boy, "Take care of your mother after me because I won't be here to protect her anymore." Not everything is over and settled Merlin and Alice. They went out to the Arabs and continued the journey. Merlin kept laughing and saying how much. The thing was strange that everyone thought they were two engaged couples or lovers for the first time. She agreed and said, "I've never been involved with someone like you." "Oh, Merlin, of course not." And he said to her, "This is how the eternal quarrel began." There's all the way, and at the same time, charming the ghouls who are still alive knew that the goblin died, so she decided to gather her remaining troops and run away. Go south to get as far away as you can. This monster is flexible, but suddenly a new one appears, mysterious from under the numbers. This lady said that I took the third key from your file. Keys, hell of a treasure room, and she also said that she is not, you will leave any witness alive. And he really killed the witch, the goblin, and all the goblins with her. The second, hours later, Merlin and Lance arrived. In front of the Adventurers Guild, Merlin first came down. Run to his bulletin board, because he is looking for missions that will bring him money, but she grabbed him by the arm and pulled him towards the employee. Lucia received him and introduced him to Lucia. The first thing I asked Merlin was, "Is he your boyfriend?" Of course, this question made S angry, so she sent Merlin. She sold and told the employee that the wanted fugitive from the south has a prize of 10,000 gold coins whoever gets caught. Merlin will be shocked. "Not you. What are you doing, girl? You are crazy," but still. She made it clear that her intention was not to betray. On the contrary, she saw it anyone with a criminal record should not stay. He is an adventurer, so the solution is to report him later. He must pay his debts in order to remove his name from the record will be made when he works as an adventurer under her eyes and returns to pay. Lucy agreed to. She just said it to her. "Because you found the loophole in the reward mission is that she will not give you. I gave you $10,000. But Lutetia looked at that to Merlin and said to him, "Look how much I laughed because of you." Merlin was embarrassed and disgusted to the point that he was. He wanted to surrender himself to the soldiers and put his mind at ease. He's holding him and won't let him run away. He's getting angry. "You are the reason I lost the whole treasure cave," and they started. They quarreled again in front of the veil. In the middle of the fight, Lucia started preparing for the route raiding. Merlin was excited and said to himself, "I am the strongest demon king. I wonder who will take me. Finish the rank in this world of adventurers. They are divided into ranks. The weakest is iron, then silver." Then he went and did the amazing thing to the people there. The magician's level Merlin was shocked and said, "How? These Holsteven people are of the highest rank. She told me I need to get on the Flintstones." She thought he was just kidding about a legendary rank called Amsiest. There are none but the legendary heroes who they brought Merlin to her, and Nor said to her, "Okay, register me now without taking a test also." But of course Letitia did not take it seriously and said this guy was harassing you. Then a red-haired guy came in. His name is Hobbs. He heard their words and came closer to see who brought him with her. Then he went in the union, another one named Arnold. As soon as he saw Elisa's heart broke with Marilyn and he fell to his knees. He told her, "Marry me." Enough refusal. He reminds me that he is my son, and I have a great place with him. At that time she said to him, "Look, Arnold, I'm not related to Merlin. I don't love him or anything." And I single Arnold. As soon as he heard this word, he flew away. Farah said, "Okay, this is still your challenge. Merlin, we fight, and whoever wins gets to marry Elise." Merlin left him and said, "I don't want to take her, uncle." And he decided to pull back, but Arnold took it the wrong way and said to him, "You are making fun of me. I am a son who should not be taken, believe it or not." Poets of the centuries began to speak. The middle said, "I am the one who will save you from evil." Merlin, Elise, of course, got nervous and said to him, "Uncle,
"Stop this nonsense," and hit him in the face with the pen. But Arnold ignored her, pulled out a sword, and rushed at her. Merlin coldly hit him with one finger, and he threw it at the ceiling. So she said to him, "You hit him hard." Strong Merlin, but at the same time she was happy and said to him, "Bravo for this move." This little girl made the whole guild look at Merlin. Even Hobbs himself was surprised to say that it might be in elite level flexible, got angry and said, "You are comparing me with the elite with the understanding he was going to pull out a sword." "The whirlpool wipes the ground with them," she said quickly. She held him and said to him, "Calm down, he was just flattering you." Here, very rare, Merlin gave in and said, "Okay, I will raise the level of the entire union alone." And suddenly, a dark-skinned, swarthy-faced man named Claude came in and said, "Merlin, step aside from me." Merlin doesn't care.
She said she liked him and said to him, "No, Merlin, I feel that this man is very strong. We don't want him." Troubles from the first day. Claude took the evaluation test. It turned out that the magician of the entire guild was really upside down. They celebrated it and said, "Now we have it." 2 wizards, he and the guild leader, but Merlin, I was standing there silent and not happy. And I found this weakness. It is not appropriate for any weak person to take all the attention and get out so that he can evaluate it and be happy, because he intends to make everyone bow down to his power after. What? They know who Merlin really is, standing in front of him? Crystal test, power test, and everything. People are waiting to see the light that will come out. They did it to determine his strength. But the surprise is the ball is not lit at all. It simply means there is nothing. He has a catalyst or anything like that. It makes one become the adventurer of the whole room. It turned into laughter and mockery, and those sitting in the union looked at him with contempt and said to him, "The boy, the one who acted like a sergeant, turned out to be a Tartor. The other is not like that." But Lucia herself, the official, said that Merlin is not an adventurer, basically because the ball did not shine. That is, as far as I'm concerned, he has no power or magic. Fight, but Merlin said with extreme coldness, "The truth is, I have neither magic nor fighting skills." I was shocked, but not surprised, at the same time strong. I know that despite this, he's destroying everything with one blow. She stood beside him in front of Lucia. She said, "Believe me, this man is very strong and he deserves it." Lucia's adventurer remains, her mind is lost somewhere. Wait a second, I thought Alice was defending him because Merlin loves him. He tried to convince her and told her, "Even the devil's messengers themselves offered to me. The rest of the army of Helen I refused." But of course, no, someone believed him and said he was kidding, to the point that there was one of them said sarcastically, "Finally, if there is a rank for lying and gossiping, Merlin will remain at the level." Amethyst, Merlin got nervous and said to them, "You will say, 'The guild master himself, and I will show you who I am.'" Those who were sitting thought he was joking, but the surprise is that the old guildmaster is a man of legendary stature. Hear the words before the challenge. They went to the Union Square dedicated to fighting, and the guildmaster is sitting proudly, and he says, "I defeated heroes who cannot be surpassed." They laughed, but Merlin didn't think of him sitting down. He cleans his ears and takes out the wax. He has no respect. This way, he drove the generation crazy and told it, "If only you can move me from my place by 1 inch, but I will consider you win, and you remain an adventurer." Merlin take permission because he releases all his strength, and the second he strikes, the vortex sword destroyed the whole square and left the streets around the Union in chaos. It was secretly claiming that he didn't kill the Gilded Master by accident. The explosion was so big that people thought it was the Gilded Master did it to raise Merlin, but Merlin came out from the middle of the destruction. Standing like a hero, he said, "Don't worry, I didn't hurt you. I still need him to testify for me forcefully." And after a while, the Gilded Master came out from inside. He was terrified. He sprinkles himself and tells Lucia to bring him new clothes because he ruined his clothes. The result was Merlin registered I was just an adventurer. But I responded with iron fist, even though it was, I tried to wipe the strongest part of the Union on the ground. She took it easy on him and told him to be happy. The only exception is that he remained adventurer even after what failed the test. Merlin began to plan. He thought it was wrong as usual and said, "No, we will do it tasks a month and we earn tens of millions of gold, and I will control the market. All adventurers, I give you 10% of the profits generously." Mona said, of course. She got nervous and told him to go away. "What's up, Merlin?" Merlin walked away and cursed because of,
I know it's over, and in the end, he finds himself hungry and not. He doesn't even have money for food and doesn't have a place to sleep. There is a result. I will destroy Alice's house. And there, I heard the pigeons come in, so I ran out quickly and slipped over. The towel fell from her, and it was an embarrassing situation. Then, I found Merlin sitting very coldly on the sofa, eats her food, and says to her with utmost, "Your lamentation is worth keeping an eye on." He tried to soften his words and said, "I came to live I am with you to protect you, but this protection comes with a small protection fee of 50 gold per month." I grabbed him and threw him out of her house immediately. He stood up. Behind the door, he was crying and said, "How can you tell a story like this with me after everything I did for you? I have no place to go. The neighbors gather, and I think that didn't she use it and sell it, so she had to open it again, quickly, so she doesn't embarrass herself even more." He entered and ran upstairs to her room and said, I will live here from today, and since we are friends, on top of him on the bed the next day. The union left, they broke into my house and made me sleep on the floor with my back. Hobbs broke and said to her, "You are too nervous." Yes, the one who loves Alice is not holding on to her, and said, "Even you take the mission alone." Merlin said no, drunk, and then woke up. Then I found her in a car driving away to Dumbacker. Hobbs said to him, "Why did you bring me here?" Merlin said to him very coldly, "You are the one who... You asked me to bring you with me, but I was lost and didn't remember." Merlin was reassuring Hobbs and telling him not to worry. "I have experience with these garbage monsters, like zombies and stuff." And at this moment, the Russian knights. They appeared in front of them while they were also on their way to Dumbacker. At that time, Hobbs told them that this road is not good for Arabs to pass, and advised knights to... They continue the rest of the way, but the knight said he told him that this was impossible because they were guarding Doc's daughter, Rose, and who cannot walk. Merlin, with all coldly and disrespectfully, he asked her sarcastically, "Is the Doc's daughter disabled or what? Then the night will come." Leader Kyle tried to whip Merlin with the corpse as punishment for being the most important girl in the world. Merlin caught him. He pulled the tack and threw the tack on the ground like that easy, as if nothing happened. The other two knights, they took out their swords immediately, and even Kyle stood up and raised his safe is also there. But Merlin didn't want to leave. Their trivial existence wasted for nothing. He gave them a chance and told them if they wanted to live, they should apologize to him. Now, while they were still talking about a fight, suddenly appeared a huge herd of monster-like creatures. In a single horn, crazy, they came running towards the car. The knights ran in front of the car to protect their lady. Hobbs, as usual, tried to get away about this disaster, but Merlin stood still. He was surprised by what was happening and asked himself why these monsters are running hysterically like this. For sure, something in the religion started scaring them, and in any case decided he intervenes and saves the knights from being run over and deals with the attack by himself. The knights were shocked by Merlin's strength. The whole herd was about to attack, but before it could, they suddenly turned around and moved away, as if they were scared. They touched him. He said he was standing in amazement. How are the monsters? She never stood in front of anything, even if... Hobbs started to lean on Merlin and asked him, "What happened?" Merlin simply replied, "These monsters are demons, and demons are instinctively, they stay away from someone stronger than them." But Hobbs, as usual, I think he's just kidding and saying nonsense. Merlin could throw monster-repellent powder at them. Merlin was annoyed and could not believe it, so he walked towards his car. But Kyle stopped him. Merlin thought that the guy still wants to fight, even after what he saw, but Kyle thanked him sincerely and told him that their lives had been cut short. All of them, especially Lady Cecilia, Duke's daughter Rose. Kyle tried to open the subject of insults, that Merlin said it before, but Cecilia interrupted. She said to him, "Stop this useless argument." She approached Merlin and saw the adventurer's budgies, and was shocked. "You really have an iron rank."
though she offered him to work as a knight for her, in exchange for 80 pieces of gold. Hobbs, of course, as soon as he heard the word, said, "I agree," but she ignored him and said to him, "You're not even worth 5 Merlin gold." Merlin was selling himself for money. But today, he wanted to prove his worth, so he looked at her and said, sarcastically, "You are poor and cannot pay the price, a leader like me." And then he offered me a deal, or what? "I agree to be your knight, but on one condition: you delete all my debts with my old employers, who are kings."
The devils, and he said to her with extreme coldness that Cecilia and Kyle owe 1 trillion in gold. They left him and went away without replying. Merlin woke up and realized he had lost a real job, so he shouted after them, "Okay, madam, can we negotiate? I swear to you 1 million gold from the number." But Cecilia returned to the main topic and said to Kyle, "Come on, hurry up, we have to get to Surdabad directly before Merlin and Arnold arrive," and she screamed that she knew. Her father accomplished it, whether Arnold or Merlin, they beat her to it. Her whole plan is ruined. We're going to Arnold's now. The man was sitting in the car, happy. The other is sitting with his great love, SM. She was very happy, so she stared at the sky and said to him. Arnold quickly tried to pat her and said to her, "We have the greatest adventure in the world. Cloud victory is guaranteed, and when we win, it will be worth it. Beck and we start our relationship." She said she called him far away immediately. She told him clearly, "I am not interested in you, man. The only one in my heart is the strongest warrior in the existence of the Nightblade." Cloud was surprised and asked her who. "This is the one you call the strongest warrior. You have ever heard his achievements are not affected." He said to all those who faced him, "These are nothing. The real heroes are them. The 4 heroes of the former empire. The first one of them is the dragon killer Corona. The one we saw before was collecting something from under the ruins of the goblin's lair. Whichever you choose, she is so alive that she was defeated all by herself, 7 of the wizard's class in one night. After that, Zoe and Joy's twins, the sword wizards, are finally here. The man named Bernard remained a killer, Dragon's leader of the 4 heroes who never. He lost a battle in his life. Even though Cloud doesn't know, how does Nightblade's true power work, I am confident that in front of the 4 great heroes' night, Blade Heben is a joke. Arnold is still seeing all this talk is unnecessary because these heroes lived from Quran, but Alice, he took back his words and was already in his mood. Stereo screams, but suddenly a herd of monsters appears. The fire rhinoceroses are running towards the team. Try to draw everyone's attention. These monsters have never existed. It stops, so the only solution is to fight them. At that time, Claudia stepped on the ground and wiped it with one blow. The whole herd, all the people were shocked, and it seems that maybe Naughty will stay with Merlin. When they meet in front of him, let's go back to Merlin and Hobbs, who were the first people. They reached the cemetery and set up camp, but when they arrived, he made a fool of himself by telling her that she, very slow, and he and Cecilia's team arrived from about 3 hours ago. He had a head injury. She told him that he was still reckless and stupid, even though this mission could determine her future life. The emotional women who were with Merlin asked, "Oh, who is this idiot?" Hobbs replied coldly and said, "My dear Merlin, of course." As soon as they heard this talk, the girls ran out because they didn't want to get into a fight with someone I'm attached to. Merlin reminded him of the bet he made with. Suddenly Arnold entered the camp, bragging he will win the challenge with the power of money because he has the strongest adventurer. Arnold loves to provoke Merlin and told him that as soon as the mission was over, he would take the money from you. Merlin also responded with mockery and said to him, I don't care about a hero like that. I am here because of the 10 gold. I was choking on this crap, all of it, and I left after Arnold decided to play it. He was a good guy and gave Merlin important information. He said that everyone this happened after a group of big thieves tried to. They robbed the tomb of the advisor of the ancient kingdom. This advisor was a summoning magician, and he was the reason in the appearance of the terrifying army of skeletons. The area Hobbs skipped, but Merlin took it back. He still thinks this mission is a child's play. The other side is pretending to the absent-minded. She was walking in the forest, and suddenly she saw Cloud alone. She started following quietly and saw that he opened the gate magic, that he talks through with someone calling him in. His Majesty the disaster remained. This man called Ali Cloud Bassam Bernard means Cloud turned out to be one of the 4 legendary heroes who lived long ago. She was shocked, and when she tried to move her legs away, stepped on, the branch broke loudly and revealed her location. Cloud came out. Summer is ready to kill anyone who knows his secret, but she said she cleverly pretended to be drunk and acted normally.
She said to him, "Come on, let's go back, it's night."
She was trying to drag him with her. She was playing a spell. Spying behind his back and then walking away safely, she revealed that she is now able to hear everything. Claude will say to him, finish talking to the man who came out. Prince of the Fallen Kingdom, Prince Salha about progress, and Claude said he intends to exploit the stupid adventurers who are with him. They reach the grave of Counselor Ian. The counselor has it. A very important thing, a key that can bring him back. Their lost empire. Claude is the furthest thing from him. Ian kills the one who betrayed them 5 years ago. He disappeared when they needed him, Prince Locke, the gate and all responsibility to the code. As it is considered, the leader of the 4 heroes is lost. What will you do? If she went to Merlin, he will probably taunt her and laugh at her. He believed her, so she decided to face the issue herself and follow up Claude. At this time, Cecilia and her knights arrived to the grave of the magician Ian Kyle. He advised them to rest. She refused because she wanted to be the only one who... The mission was completed. Claude visited them and mocked them, saying to them they are stupid to think they can get in a shrine built by the most powerful magician, and he said that he got lost in the maze, left them, and continued on his way. I cleverly concluded from his words that the shrine was a maze, so I decided to stick to it so that Arnold wouldn't get up in the morning. He was terrified. When he didn't find the S in the camp, first thing came to his mind that she spent the night with Merlin, started opening his tent for Merlin to sleep. He was hugging a tame dragon. I was shocked by the sight, but I was reassured she is not here. Merlin woke up upset and said to him, "If you don't explain what you're doing, you'll die." Now, Arnold said to him, "Isn't she missing?" Merlin replied coldly and said to him, "She must be hiding it from you because she got tired of your face." But Arnold connected the subject with Claude also gone. Hobbs is halfway there. Naeem said, "I saw them at night walking to the forest." Of course, Arnold was heartbroken and said, "You made me hot." She ran away with Claude, but Hobbs thought they went to complete the mission. Merlin heard nothing. As soon as "Now that I'm charged, I can't lose 0 gold, Gary Hobbs and Arnold followed suit. They wrought on the other side. Claude was on the 2nd floor of the shrine, breaks any monster he meets him, and walks behind him secretly, taking advantage of all the secret ways he knows so far. He reached the place where Ian's grave was and told him. He came out of his grave and knew him immediately and said to him, "You sent again, Bernard?" Bernard revealed, "The prince is back. He is the 3 heroes, the 2nd era of using dark magic, Ian. I understand that the prince is still alive thanks to this magic, only he himself was always against this kind of magic because he thinks his end will be destruction." Bernard asked you, "Why did Bernard come here?" He replied, "Lemire, I want you to help us get back the empire," but Ian refused and said, "I am now just a zombie target. Studying magic is nothing more than that." Bernard told him, "The key ladder that you are keeping is still refused." He said to Bernard, "You've forgotten, right? What is this? The prince himself ignored my words and did this contract with the devil, and this contract is what destroyed him. The whole empire is just..." Bernard, no difference. He pulled out a sword and repeatedly took the key by force. The most powerful magician in history fights. The other side was terrified to the point of her legs. She is shaking and unable to stand on her own. I wish I hadn't come at all, and on time. Merlin was walking on the 1st floor. He's cutting off the monsters right and left as if he was just taking a walk. He's circling around in circles, not knowing how to get out of them, until he got fed up and said, "Okay, I'll solve it my way," and he left, hitting the ground with one fist, making an opening, and jumping to go down to the 2nd floor. And on the same floor was Cecilia's team, and her knights were weak, and he was shaking in front of some zombies. Then suddenly he appeared on them. 2 powerful monsters attacked. Without warning, quickly, one of them stabbed Kyle in the chest. "Run away and leave us," but Cecilia will never leave him. Cecilia was shocked and said, "How are you? Merlin, the one who's just a weak iron adventurer, enter the place dangerous like this?" Merlin smiled and flipped his brain. "I hit the ground with my fist and entered from the level above." Cecilia was amazed by his brilliant thinking and asked from him and said to him, "Please, save me and Kyle. We can't fight." But Merlin replied coldly and said, "I don't work for free, madam."
"Here for the gold and nothing else," Cecilia begged him. She told him, "I'll give you money. Just save Merlin." He smiled and said, "From the beginning, I want 1 trillion, not 1 millim." At least Cecilia was shocked and said, "What's this? I don't have all this money." He took only 5 gold from them and held the 2 of them. He threw them up against the wall and made them hang so that the zombies would not reach them. He told them, "This way you will be safe." Then he left them and walked inside, on the shrine where Bernard fights Ian, in the Battle of Anchars. The fighting was all auras, magic, light, darkness, and Ian summoned a dead monster giant to beat Bernard in the middle. Merlin entered the hall and stopped all the fighting, and the first time she saw him, she felt relieved for the first time and said, "Thank God I saw your face, you idiot." Merlin smiled. He said, "The dead magician is still alive. I can do this. I will take the credit after I finish it." He got upset and said, "What is this audacity? How could you interfere in my place and you talk like this?" And I sent him a strong spell, but Merlin simply moved his finger and blocked the spell. It was as if Bernard and Ihan exchanged glances. They said, "This kid is not normal. He is definitely on the lowest level in the desert," so they decided to unite with. Some of them sent monsters to get rid of him. The dead one, but Merlin would sacrifice herself for him as if she were slow at the same time. Bernard made a light sword strike. He flew away with her, then the monsters attacked. He was standing there playing and stopping them from. He didn't even sweat, so she said to herself, "Oh, him, strong, but still this is not fair. There are 2+1 monsters against him." Yet he preferred to hide in order to. She knows that he will insult her and call her a hero. It would be a failure if you tried to help him, and in the end, Merlin, he said, "Enough joking," and raised his sword and cut down the monster with it. Ian himself and Ian disappeared and left the key behind him. Bernard knew he couldn't defeat Merlin, so he said, "Give me the key and I will pay you back one day." But Merlin replied and said to him, "I was poured on before." He wanted money, so Kashner offered him 5 gold coins. He said, I interrupted and said, "Wait, Merlin. Bernard, a corpse, has been walking for 400 years and wants to come back to the Empire," turned and said, "My mistake was that I didn't kill you in the forest long ago." He attacked her, but Merlin stood in front of her and said, "If she died, where would I sleep? I live with her." Bryatlin said to Bernard, "You are a losing athlete if you plus Ian plus the monsters couldn't defeat me. How can you defeat me alone?" Bernard laughed and said to him, I wasn't using all my strength now, look at my strength." The truth is, he used a forbidden technique called shaming. Rogo multiplies his strength 10 times for his entire lifespan. Bernard tried to make a scary monster and laughed and said, "Now, it will be destroyed." But Merlin is a roof over his head and he fed up and said, "Come on, show us your cleverness." Bernard, attack him with all your might. Powerful, but Merlin also easily repelled her at first. With one blow he cut him in 2 and he was dying. "Look at him safe," Marn said. "This is the sword of the whirlpool. You are the devil, the legendary ruler of pride." And then rose to the flexible ash he called out and said to him, "May your home be destroyed, Bernard. I'm going to take 50 gold from you." Musk the key is clear that it has a greater value than. It seems that she said, "We need to return the key." Merlin laughed and said to her, "You are stupid. No, you owe millions for this key. Could he open a treasure that would make us live in luxury?" She told him, "Okay, but I'll take half and half." Merlin told her, "I give you 50 only." And they're going out. Merlin feels that he forgot something, but he said, "It doesn't matter, I have a busy mind for these things." And of course he forgot that Cecilia, and there are still people trapped in the middle of the zombie army, and they shouted, "Someone save us," after everyone had left the cemetery. A little boy comes out of the box, and he breathed a sigh of relief as if he was reassured that the intruders left, and he came back again to sit and read in books, and this often means that he is Ian himself, since he said before that he doesn't want to. He do nothing but study his incantations, zombie, at the same time at the contemporary Chris Arnold, and Hobbs was attacked by a few zombies. They are not easy, they kill each other, but suddenly all the zombies disappear, and then both of them will understand that someone has finished off the magic that was moving the zombies at the moment. This one in particular, Alice and Berlin arrive, but as usual they are going to quarrel with each other like lovers.
Of course, those who were waiting behind thought that, "Isn't she the one who finished the mission?" And they ran to congratulate her. This made Merlin very upset. "Isn't she trying to do it herself? You give him credit and say that Merlin is the one who did it." Everything. But one of the adventurers who we stand believing that a loser like Merlin is of a rank iron can kill a zombie wizard, not to mention that he defeated him, so they thought that he was trying to save him. From Almamlaka newspaper, coming to cover what happened in Directly, she decided to interview Alice and name her the heroine who saved many lives. Merlin, standing on his side and deprived of the puzzle that he did not take appreciation, started imitating as if he was a fangirl and said, "Oh, this is the heroine who saved the world." Today Yo-Yo is about to reach its end. Out of disgust, I grabbed the camera and pointed it towards him, Merlin, and told the whole world that he is Merlin, the one who killed 2 legendary rankers with 1 hit. One of his swords, but Merlin doesn't care anymore.
with him, and he said that he was used to it in the past when he was in The Demon King broke what he remembered in titles. Never matter, what really matters is money. And I am very upset that people think that the mission is over, the money will be gone. All of them felt guilty and offered half of the blood money from the reward, but Merlin continued walking, ignoring her. She had to run after him and negotiate with him so he wouldn't get upset. On the other side, inside a volcanic structure, the heroes of the former empire gathered to. They mourned their departed friends standing in front of him, their king, who sits on the top of the piaster. One of the twins is named Zoe, and he is celebrating and sitting. He laughs and says that Bernard was crazy to make him, a few adventurers, laugh at him because of his negligence. The key to the identity gate is now in your hand. Strange, the second heroine, Corona, said what? We shouldn't make a mistake about Bernard. He was the most loyal to us. But Zoe thinks that loyalty is useless. It is necessary, and what matters is that they find warriors they deserve to revive the empire again, brother. Joy agreed, but Corona felt insulted and got into a fight. At that moment, the prince hit the stick and fired a strong wind spell, made everyone shut up, and then he announced that they must speed up their plan to summon Hellfire because their secrets were exposed, and since Zoe and Jai are annoying, the prince told Corona to go away on Rescum and bring the key quickly, we will go back. Second to Merlin, who finally fixed his mood after agreed to the deal with Alice that the reward is for him and half for her, and they will return in Arabic. Arnold comes back and says he wants a second chance to get his rights back. Merlin said to him insolently, "Take it, uncle, and live." But Arnold refused and said he didn't want Isan and started repeating his ridiculous romantic speeches. To the point of despair, she was going to throw him out of the car. Hobbs started to worry if the kingdom knows how to deal with the issue of the ancient empire or not. Arnold, being a noble man, reassured him and told him not to worry. Queen. Then the Behenia Knights, led by 10 warriors of legendary rank and known as Knights Thorns, and their strongest leader, we returned to the Knights of Thorns. Finally, they went to the cemetery and saved Kyle. Cecilia, Merlin, and the others arrive in the city. Suddenly, swords are drawn against them without warning. Merlin easily repelled them and asked who was attacking. Some knights wearing black galabeas came out and said they want to talk to Sir Lin first. He knew that they didn't want him, so he went back and left. Nasib the lion falls on the heroine. The text is a matter of doubt. The remains of the old empire turned against them ice magic and sword, and sat fighting. Arnold asked Merlin and Hobbs, we won't help her. Hobbs said no because he is weak and will disrupt her. Merlin is also convinced she is stronger than the idiots who attack her. The text is one of the knights who was exposed, and his name was revealed to be Chob. Man is a follower of the Knights of Behenia, under the Omar of legendary 9th Knight Cersei Hayden. We return to the Knights of Thorns. This episode comes to an end, which was very sad for the Dupe Slice. To thank you for watching and subscribe to the channel, and do not forget to press the admiration button. Absolutely knights like this.
He is convinced to forget the lists, but not with the strength that has let her kill 2 legendary rankers. What was said was all exaggeration, and he told them. They send a report to the foot that the issue is trivial, and what? He doesn't deserve to be worried, but suddenly a mysterious person wearing a chap. He has a small wound on his neck from behind. He scratched his head and felt a strange sting. Semerlan returned to the Adventurers Guild, too. They receive the reward from Lucia, and when they receive, Lucia said that their debts were deducted, and also, it was revealed that their clubs were merged because the president, the union registered them as an adventurous husband and wife. Arnold went into a state of depression because he discovered his true love is already married. He said Charlotte told him to stop making drama about the situation. It's a disaster anyway. She looked at Lucia and said, fix it. Register now. Lucia said this is not possible unless they bring a divorce certificate, and this certificate is not. She said she will not leave until they get officially married first. This is me, and I can't believe she's still seeing it. She was the heroine herself, and in the end, Lucia made it clear. The debt was divided into 2 halves, meaning the debt is $1 million was cut in half, and half of it was left for Merlin, the man. He entered the book, and she laughed and said to him, this is karma, my love. Since you are the one who stole the shield of the Mefrau, You got me into this debt anyway. They still have to work a deadly job their whole life, just to pay off the debts they are in. How do you mean they both hate each other? Their heart, even when they go back home, they stay. They fight with their eyes, and who will sleep on? Merlin bed remained, the wise man said, "Oh, my daughter, let's take him fairly. Let him fill it, and you fill it, that's it." She replied and said to him, "What do you mean? This is my house." For priority, she also said that if it was your turn, the bed remains the role of housework as well. Here you decided to give him all the housework today. Merlin refused and told her. He threw himself on the couch and slept on. It's as if he was saying, "I gave up. I remembered she won the round and will make him sweep and cook." But the plan did not work, so she started screaming at him and said to him, "Come on, Merlin." That's his style, buddies. But Merlin ignored it completely, and it remained in his mind. Ignore Alice forever and go back to sleep in the morning. Did you enter the union that is in it? Merlin started screaming, "I want a divorce now." He was snoring all night like a pig and made me. I cook and do everything, and in the end, he eats. I ate all the food while I was in the bathroom. Merlin replied to her. He said to her coldly, "Your food is terrible. I did this, thank you, Hamdi. My teeth have exploded." And she said, "You are." Merlin said to him, "I want to focus, but how can I get money quickly? I got rid of the potato. Half in my life, he has missions of SS rank in it. Kill strong monsters and earn a lot of gold. I'm ready." But Lucia laughed and said to him, "My dear, you are still. I gave you iron rods, the least you can do to complete the missions. The union president." But Lucia laughed even more and said, "Impossible. Development uncle, she has a chance to stay. Okay, you'll train hard with me until you get strong and reach this level." He kept looking at her lazily. They started training to fight Merlin, and he said, "I want." Merlin simply flew away while he was scratching. His nostrils were hit and he flew away. She said, You don't train me, you hit me. Just be flexible," he told her. "Before you train, you must lose everything." Exactly. Are we getting angry or what, my daughter? Are you stupid? What do you mean? You have to reach the stage of death and life for you to develop. And started looking and said to her, "I fought giants, sea monsters, and dragons, yet I thought that was the secret of his strength." But he said, I'll finish them off with one hit anyway. Show no more." Then he said to her, "Come on, if you don't use all your strength in the next attack, you will die." She prepared herself and made a magic fog, and then a blizzard attacked, but Merlin was immune to it. "The magic will break you easily if you try me and attack me. It has thorns, but it is of no use." I tried to get close to him using thorns, but he didn't. He closed his eyes and held his tongue while he was in the air. "You are as slow as a turtle this time."
He attacked her with too much force and threw her out. He said, "What is this sword? It has a distinctive shape." And it is indeed the same legendary sword that his sister Lilith said, "First of all, isn't it a harmful sword to carry for the devils?" But the problem is that the devil himself is weak. The reason he came was to inform Merlin. Her beauty steals the heart waiting for her at the union. This lady is one of the 4 heroes. Corona, but Merlin doesn't know it, so he thought it was this. One of the demons from the continent is coming to ask for debts. He started to worry, so Hobbs said to him, "Come on." The one sitting outside the union saw the key that she clung to Merlin's neck and began to walk behind him. Without noticing, Hobbs took Merlin's cheek and went to the middle. Helena was the owner of the place who welcomed us. Merlin made his way to the cabin. There is someone coming to meet him. Merlin quickly gets nervous and rushes off. Why is he so nervous? I mean, she's not even his wife. I took him to a secret place while he was thinking maybe it was me, like a respectable man. But suddenly she changed into her appearance. I explained to him that she was a demonic general working underneath the orders of the ruler of Shadios, the 4th demon king. Here Merlin realized that the one who wants to meet him is Asodius. She replied, "She is trying to reduce expenses and live on, and that's it," she said. He also sells him a summons on his death.
For demons for humans, Merlin denied that he knew anything. Psodius hit him with a pen like this on the plane and said, "The Satanic Council always told him to run. His area is good and he has never done this for anything." That's why they expelled him, and from here he fled to the land of humans, Merlin. He told her maybe now the council will realize its value. They wanted to apologize to him, but she shocked him and told him that, "An hour ago I took his place. The performance went up." She succeeded in making more clay from him and even told him he is still in debt and is supposed to pay off the debt with interest. Merlin is also nervous, or is she a laughing devil? The devil asked her why she was here, and she replied and said to him, "It is the moment when the forces of the abyss exist on the continent. I thought he was negligent because he had killed an ambassador in the past. From the yellowness of identity with all recklessness, his presence is cleared. Mind you, because the identity force is very rigid, Merlin, he laughed and said even if the master of identity comes, he will fly with one stroke. Psodius said to him, "I wish I hadn't. It won't happen because if there is a fight between you, the whole world will fight. He will be destroyed." After this, Merlin left. Corona was tracking it from afar, as she wanted. The key is that she wants to punish him because he insulted her. He told her that an old woman attacked him from behind him. The knives did not touch his neck. Merlin thought, a mosquito bites him, and he suggests this with his hand quite simply, a distant wanderer. A distant wanderer. Then he smelled her scent and knew it was the same old dancer who shouted to her from afar. He told her to stay away from me, old woman. I just can't stand you. Corona did not surrender. Her neck was broken by his blow, by mistake, and then I knew that Merlin was not just someone, an ordinary adventurer. He is very strong, and yet she is determined. She wins if she uses her trump card, Merlin. He came out of nowhere and attacked him, starting to annoy him. He left her and told her to teach her, and then he disappeared. I see this was impolite, and I wanted him to apologize immediately. I asked him, where did he go at night like this? Merlin was acting like a husband. The smell of women's perfume came out of him, and I suspected that it was who wants and does not need her, she replied. However, she said that she had a right to speak about it. Because they are married, at least in name, Merlin, he was standing in shock and did not understand anything, but in the end, he promised that he would not have sex with any other girl again. Randomly, especially after she had threatened him that she would throw him outside the house if he did that. I would be at this moment. There was a strange atmosphere between them, sudden romantic tension. Each one of them looked away and looked into each other's eyes. The second one said that she was not satisfied and told him to come. Tomorrow I will be with you in the astrological sign. I want to meet Lady Dainichi and let her stand with this key in the same breath. By the time Corona had reached a frozen mountain, that's how I broke the seal that was holding a legendary monster. His name is the Ice Dragon, hoping he will save anyone. Merlin. The second day, Merlin said explicitly, a tower astronomical, and there he met Defense and her company. Rossetti, the human cat. Rossetti first saw Merlin. She was very happy and told him, "It is true that you are married, aren't you?"
Honestly, the one who marries her has a strong steel face. Of course she knows Rossetti and Devange and told Merlin. Merlin was surprised and asked her who came first. To him, coldly, these words broke Merlin's heart. Halfway through, she quickly clarified that she was not married. Venji said she needed time to unpack. The symbols and the key are studied well, and I have trusted them. She left the key with her, took Merlin, and left. They went back home. Merlin was writing a letter. For Lathan Million, he wrote that he is #1 in adventurers, earned thousands of dinars every day. Suddenly his heart ached, and he knew the curse was upon him. I did it so that I wouldn't kill any strong enemies. He ran to the Union looking for a difficult mission to kill. It has monsters of the legendary level Lucia. I heard him and called him and told them on a mission.
a specially direct assignment, and the client requested you. The two in particular are required to control. A savage dragon threatens the ball at Mount Navas. Hobbs was scared as soon as he heard this and said, "Oh, what a terrible day. The mountain where one of the dragons is sealed." The 6 legendary ice dragons, I remembered. Her teacher said, "This dragon is so strong. It's next to a whole sea of ice-capped waves. In a moment, he has the power to wipe a kingdom off the map." The subject is so terrifying that even the employee union, she said this mission is no less than an adventure like mine. Merlin's body was shaking with excitement, and he said, "If I defeated this dragon and my life will increase for half a month?" He ran with her towards the village below, the mountain itself. At the top of the mountain, Corona was talking. The dragon is disgusted by the dragon. Her tongue was twisted, and he said to her, "Speak to me. The human being is better off, and I agree with him that he should return it to her." She tried to get him out of the seal, but he refused to come down. To the extent that it scares farmers, Corona is afraid of it. She quickly told him, "I mean it, it's not like that, I want to lose him with tricks." The dragon told her, "I don't. Wait for your friend, the dragon, the light has gone away." He blocked and said it was impossible for Tanor to lose to Satan, but in the end, he said, "Before I can take my rights, I have to finish with you. Don't worry, I set a trap for you and froze a girl from the village. In a piece of ice and disguise yourself in it and drag them here, Merlin and Alice." They arrived in the village. Alice said, It's cold even when I'm wearing many layers of clothes." Merlin replied while he was busy and said noon because this mountain sees the giant ice on the north. The dragon, Merlin was thinking about something else. After all, this is an ice dragon that can't help but a small iceberg appears while they are standing like this. A football girl approaches them like this and asks them questions. "You are the great heroes who were defeated. The magician is dead, but take care of this girl. The truth about Corona was revealed before that." "Who are you, miss?" The girl responds with all innocence. She tells him that I am the daughter of the village mayor and I am the client who requested you specifically for the mission. This is a parliament. From the first moment he feels the scent of the old men who are disguised. He tells her that she keeps Merlin silent and scolds him for nothing. He ruins her reputation in front of the girl. And then she asked me regarding the topic. She starts talking while crying. And you tell her, "Imagine a terrifying Englishman coming to us. He told us that if you don't hand over little girls, they will be spoiled. I will freeze the whole village in the snow and tomorrow it will turn." Isn't her heart breaking for her? And she threatens her and says, "Don't be afraid, we will get rid of this monster. Before tomorrow we will save the whole village." But not Merlin. He is completely convinced and says to himself, "Dragons. This ancient animal does not attack humans at all, or taste the brown people. A luxury person for them." But as usual, the second time she takes them to our father, the mayor of the village. The big snow mountain stands tall. As soon as he sees them, he says, "Go back where you didn't get this dragon much stronger than you. This is one of the 6, the legendary dragon. Merlin is here himself." I light up and say, "Gadon, bring me my dragon." And thus, instead of hitting the mountain, black water falls just as fingers. And suddenly the whole snow block, it crumbles and all the people open their mouths in amazement.
On an empty stomach, he asks them to eat. Of course, they fulfilled his request, and after they saw his strength, he finished. He ate and started complaining about the reward. The mayor is surprised and says, "What is the reward, my daughter? My daughter doesn't even know how to write an application. The task is like this, isn't it? Confusing, but I'm fast." She changes the subject and tells her to come. "Alice, we bathe in the hot springs and run with him. They won't go into the bathroom unless you search their clothes. In the clothes room, just to find the key." Unfortunately, she can't find him, so she thinks she will have to make it the second plan, and in the hot tub, the atmosphere was very awkward between Els and Marina. He approaches her and tells her, "Look, I want to know you. How did the dragon get something inside him called Noah? The dragon, if you eat it, you will gain his strength and magic as well." The woman is shocked and tells him, "This is really a treasure. Legendary. How could you give it to me so simply, Merlin? Why is it necessary? I even have max level. I want it. I want to write down my powers to take triple missions. S instead of me." S keeps asking, "Is it you? Are you doing this because you love me or what, Merlin?" With her hands, he throws his forehead and says to her, "No, whistle me. I'm not interested in anything at all. I just want you."
She remains strong, so she loses confidence and tells him I am not. There is a difference with me in the first place. My heart is with Nayab Blade, the strongest warrior on the continent. Merlin became angry and almost angrish, says to her, Nayab, what am I? You don't even believe him and you give him cat needles. She throws him out of the bathroom and tells him how to make fun of her. From my beloved, and you claim to be him and start hitting him with everything. I am him, and he will not marry you if you don't change your mind. Suddenly, Myrna's heart, which was overcome by chains, began to. It hurts him, and at that moment he hits him with the pan until he drowned. I thought he was joking, but when he didn't come out quickly, you have to save him and take him to the village. And the dragon was unconscious at that very moment. The icy ice appears standing alone. She tries to hit her strongest spell, but the dragon, he mocks her and tells her that your magic is weak. She realizes that she is going to die, but she is happy that people, they whispered at the last moment, wishing they had seen Nayab Blade one last time. And suddenly, Merlin appears in front of her. He takes the dragon's blow with his feet and you see his back, and you really feel that he might be really stupid, or me, goosebumps. Merlin looks at the dragon and says, oh, he's cute little one. Come here. He held him in his hands. The dragon bear hugs and says this guy is kidding. Crazy or what? You say from afar, get used to it. Oh dragon, this is Merlin's character. He stayed alive. Merlin wants to finish quickly, so he takes out his sword, but isn't he? You stop and tell him to take the fight away, or he'll get ruined. Merlin village is running out time, and permissible. A small stick is far away, and he says to the dragon, bring it. The dragon gets nervous and attacks, but Merlin, he grabs it with his hand and flies away like Superman. At this moment, I ran to Alice and cried in her arms, but suddenly she pulls out a knife and stabs her. Merlin is playing cat and dog with the dragon, and he will be happy for a while, and when he gets tired, he will reveal himself and say, I am Mr. Pride, and no magic can work on me. The dragon gets really angry and screams and says, I won't let him down before I take a pimple. The dragon of light, Merlin laughs, and said to him, you misunderstood, my dear. The light you call Baki is still alive and kicking. Guardian of the demon lords, Dragon Palace Al-Jalidi did not believe him and said to him, you are a liar. The devil at that moment was still standing, and when I hit him I realized that I had revealed. She said, it's not me. It's Corona itself, the legendary butcher from the time of the Empire. The old one started to connect things and said, yes, you came to take revenge because of modern red, right? Corona shook her brain and she said, I have nothing to do with it. What I want is the key to Bernard. Merlin stole from the tomb. Didn't you work in it? Innocent. And said she didn't know anything about it. The key that it is very clear that she is lying. About Corona at that moment, she decided to hold her and lock her up with genjutsu hers. But isn't she the one who trained under Merlin?
She knew how to see the illusion and break it. Corona had to use other plans, and the fight is still going on. Second hero of the ancient empire, Zoe is a special person who watches the Corona battle. Corona did not want to be embarrassed in front of him, so she decided to take. Fighting hard, and in a short moment, the ground was wiped clean. I defeated her with ease, then Corona took its toll. Alice's body was unconscious, and she went to Zoe and said to him, leave it as a hostage so we can force Merlin to hand us the key. Merlin was about to pull Summer, but suddenly his heart ached so hard that he grabbed the pen, to the point that he started to petrify again, and at that moment, this is Corona, her paper came far away and said to the two of them, Gladiator proudly waited for me to break his defenses, but the dragon refused her presence and told her, outside, this place is not for someone like you, and Rose, Zadila, and her pilot are far away. Merlin is standing again. He tells himself that he has to finish quickly before the dragon actually dies and decides to attack with a blow. His last one started to form a huge ice structure, very much to make Merlin laugh under the snow, but with a very light touch of the whirlpool sword, his thing destroyed all the snow and destroyed the dragon too. The dragon in his last moments was not believing it and said, how can a devil have this power? His level is like the desert of the era. Merlin told him, I myself do not understand. Go ask the witch why. Look, anyway, goodbye. I didn't mean to do this. I could have made you my pet if my circumstances weren't that difficult, but suddenly Corona happened.
I ran to the dragon and took its core, and she ate it right away. Merlin looked at her and said to her, "My daughter, this should not be eaten. At first Corona will ruin you. You will feel a tremendous power." She told herself that she was still the strongest person in the world. Even though Merlin was standing in front of her, she ignored him. Exactly. Merlin didn't get into an argument with her. He kept it and said to her, "If you don't get the seed now, you will remain trapped in the semi-human form. This dragon text is forever Corona. I remembered everything." The insults Merlin said to her all the time, and decided to take revenge. Merlin stood and saw her acting like a bee flew around him, and he said to himself, "That's it." She forgot who was in front of her, who killed one of them, 6 legendary dragons in one strike. Corona used its deadly suffocation technique, double, but Merlin moved as if he was not moving. He avoided it easily. She didn't give up. He preferred to attack while he calmly blocked every blow. He tells her that she is weak and delusional and that she does not deserve him. "So I can see you." Corona got nervous and decided to go out. Uses the ultimate technique of the ice dragon. She started saying the spell in the language of dragons. Only Merlin couldn't hold back his laughter and said to her, "You are talking like a joker." "No, I brought you a brother." Corona interrupted you. I got very angry and decided to freeze the whole world around him, using the dragon move. The harshest ice fall, and indeed everything. Everything around her froze completely, even the atmosphere itself remained as big as snow. Corona felt that she remained a real witch, but Merlin remained the same. Don't freeze. The worst thing that happened to him was a sneeze. He told her, "I'm fed up with your techniques, they won't work with me." Corona admitted that Merlin is strong, but said, "Your negligence made you lose all the footballers. They died frozen to death because of Merlin. I was very affected for the sake of the Karawi, but for the sake of Alice, and not that he knows that she was originally taken from Zoe before I freeze." Thinking about all the moments with her and the first time Merlin got really angry, with just one punch, Corona disappeared after that, and then stopped in front of the ice, and he said, "I wonder if there is still a chance to save Alice." At that moment, Zoe appeared and said that he was also shocked because of the Corona spell, but since he is a hero, legendary level, he was able to free himself. Zoe opened the gate magic to escape. Merlin saw the gate and ran. He said to him, "Bring me my Rome now," and he hit the summer. But Zoe closed the door quickly and don't cut it.
His hand fell inside. Merlin regretted that he did not. He used all his strength to finish him off, but he couldn't, because the full blow would have destroyed everything around him, even the frozen spheres. Or now I know that Zoe kidnapped S for the key, and that's it. It means that she is still alive and has his heart. He tells him to save him, and he feels that it is really possible. He falls in love with her, but he doesn't want to be her slave. No dog behind her. With the disappearance of Corona Snow, what you did made Merlin melt. I think the footballers were originally hiding in the catacombs under the stop for a moment, and asked himself from when I started to care about people like that. At the same time, Zoe, he took Alice and threw her to his twin brother Joy first. He did not see him, but he noticed that his brother's left hand was his. Zoe cut him off and told him that this happened only because of him. He left himself a little and pretended to be ignorant as usual. Joey agreed. According to his brother, even this approval made Zoe, "You agree with me, you idiot." Zoe go on and listened to Joey's words. He was stubborn and told him that he was useless and did not know anything. He was doing something and was about to hit him, but suddenly he came in and told Zoe to stop and asked him to explain what happened and why the flame of Corona's spirit went out. He replied and said that Corona and the snow dragon were defeated. They both belong to the man who stole the key. That Zoe doesn't know that Merlin is him. They will be able to defeat Merlin and win him over. Of course, the prince is done and his time is running out, so he asks. Zoe quickly gets him the key and Zoe promises to. Merlin will come to them himself to save them the prisoner they kidnapped, and then the key he will return to them against his will. And Zoe also said that he took it as a personal matter and wanted to cut off his arm. Merlin sews it into his body as a form of revenge. As usual, Joey agreed without thinking. She said she woke up after a few hours of fainting and found in front of her a dwarf girl. Thought that Corona had defeated her before she lost consciousness. I realized that she was now in Cabot, and the first time she saw him, she was terrified. She started begging him and crying and telling him that she would listen. And then I understood that this man looked peaceful. Or she pulled a sword with ice and stabbed Joey, but Joey didn't. He intended to punish her so that she would not act like this.
He cut off the girl's arm and began sucking her blood in a way she was so ugly that she couldn't control herself, and told him that not even when he cut off the fingers of the neighbor's children. They used to call him a criminal, but according to what he said, he didn't want to do that. Even though he was his brother, my eldest says that until now, if not. He heard his brother's words being punished, and Joey started talking. He tells her about his dark past with his brother. Zoe, one time his brother ordered his mother to keep quiet for a long time, the speech, and when he did not know how to implement it, Zoe hit him and continued beating him until he heard the words, and the same thing happened with him when he tortured villagers and prisoners while they were still Asian. Joey said that he was apologizing all the time for his victims, but none of them forgave him, all people. Do you think he is the culprit, even though he considers himself to be the one, just a puppet in his brother's hands while he screams and howls? He tells you that everyone blames me, I am not the one they were supposed to touch. I was very upset and understood that the man, his mind is not completely healthy, but what is strange is that he has a seizure. This saved her from torture, and then she was brought closer to him. Her head introduced her to herself, and the girl responded and said that her name is Shirley, and she explained that she is not from the human kingdom. These evil people imprisoned her here. She said that the reason they collect her blood for her every day is that the prince needs this blood to make a potion, a magic that allows him to live even after years. Shirley continued and said that when she was kidnapped, she found me. The same cell was the corpse of an ancient thousand whose blood was drawn from her day after day until she died. Shirley was very terrified, crying and afraid the end of it was like Alice. She held her in her lap and said she is sure that someone will come to save them for sure. Even she herself began to wonder, I wonder if I can trust that Merlin Hedgie saves me. Shirley asked her who.
The key to the hobby is a promise in a coma. In her dream, she found herself standing in front of strange, identifiable creatures. Perhaps even according to their claim, it looked like a furnace of the ages. His waist was huge and terrifying at the moment Merlin was. He runs towards her in the astronomy tower. La Da Vinci, Sarhana with one touch on her forehead above her. Da Vinci's coma began to explain to Merlin. Her terrified friend Rosette said that this was the key. It opens a gateway to identity, which means it is very dangerous. The enemies treat him equally, and the one who transgressed will return to Alice. So it was destroyed by the idiots of the Empire. Old Merlin promised her that he would be the first to save Alice. He will handle everything himself. Vinci handed him over. Terrifying, even if it comes from the same identity as me, he has the key. But the problem is that he doesn't know the key. I am locked up. Where is the person who has a suggestion asking for help? He goes to Lalith, who is sure to give him a decent leech. Lasudius, whoever wants it will not miss the opportunity and get lost. On him, and it is not enough for you that Arnold entered on him and Hobbs. He started blaming Merlin for letting the woman get kidnapped. They found out everything from Lucia. Merlin told her the whole story, and thanks with this information they were able to locate Alice, Hobbs, Faraj Merlin on the map that has the headquarters. Heroes of the ancient empire, and Arnold said he issued a reward of 1 million gold to anyone who saves Alice and Suhaden from one of the Knights of Thorns. He really went there. Arnold thought, okay, don't worry about Alice, but Merlin doesn't. He doesn't know how to sit, he just sits silently and waits, the normal one. Yes, he likes to sit. Just because of his feelings, the confused one decided to move and actually ran on the enemy camp. At the same time, the Suhaden was. He is about to reach the enemy base with the young man in his army as a young general. Man told him that. A legendary man like him didn't need to come by himself to repel weak enemies like these, but Suhaden explained to him that he had no other choice, especially since the queen herself summoned him for the mission. This and the subject is not here. I also assigned him 2 missions. The first senior that he achieves a victory laughed at the losers of the last empire, so that people can trust the royal family again in the Knights of Bohemia. And the second, it reduces Naib's short story as dull because if people thought that a hero like her is a savior, trust in authority will decrease more, and that's why the queen has not yet remove the award that was placed on Suhaden's head. He also had important information that the princess, the Aleph of the southern kingdom, Shirley, is trapped here, so if they save her, The relationship between their kingdom and the southern kingdom will be better a lot. But suddenly Zoe appeared in front of the army and was beaten Hayden with his sword. But Hayden blocked the blow with a shield and countered it. He had a feeling that Zoe's blood was bleeding for some time. He used the shadow sword art, which is a legendary technique. It's old and requires dozens of the same. His shadow power attacked the knights of Sahayden and Zoe. This is Merlin, who was lost in the forest. Explosions in the distance. Faraj is there and he says he might know how to reach the castle through them. The battle was raging, but when it calmed down, it was over Zoe. But Zoe surprised everyone and tied his bones the broken second. Then he stopped and then he called. He finished it on Sahayden. Sahayden forced her hands with all his strength, but unfortunately, his shield could not protect him from the force. The two brothers are together and they are still alive, but he is a young man whose heart sank with fear. Instead of killing him and relaxing, Zoe decided to use him as a toy. He was having fun with her and they dragged her towards Zoe and told him to torture it. It is a special pleasure for him, as usual. Zoe, he left his brother doing the dirty work inside me. He was about to run into young men, but Merlin appeared and said, "Are you ready to die, or is Zoe still close?" Until he wished death was in his hand. Merlin pushed him and said, "I don't understand what you're doing wrong. Go check it out, doctor." This made Zoe unbelievable.
Merlin took the matter as a joke, so he decided to force him. He told him that he and his brother anointed the Knights of Bohemia. They are the strongest knights in the whole continent, but Merlin didn't care and told him, "My dogs hit harder." That word from you really insulted Zoe, so he decided to use the technique of merging with his second brother. Before he started, he exploded in anger and said, "Where is my wife?" And then he quickly corrected his words and said, "To him, I mean my colleague. I don't have a wife at all." Zoe refused to respond. He told him that he would not cooperate unless he handed him a key identity. But he became a little jealous, and after he merged with him, "Behind you, but you won't be able to save her because you will die." Now, the brothers have made their final strike, but Merlin wiped it out with one stroke of his sword. Let both of them be Yango and Joy, because he is stronger than Zoe. Was very surprised by Merlin and asked himself how. Joey is the strongest, yet he follows orders. Weak like this, talk touched Joey and made him gather his courage instead of preferring to follow his brother. He grabbed Sifo and started stabbing him with deadly stabs. Then he took Sifo and said that he did not need to integrate. All he needs is a sword to shoot the final technique and actually use their strike. The last one is for Zoe to wipe himself off. But Merlin, "I was bored, so I took out the vortex sword and hit Joe one hit, finished him off," and he said, "It's a shame I couldn't do it. All of them and Merlin back, and there's nothing to stop him." So he headed along the direction of the temple. Young man Lee. The only survivor was Saloon Tenant Blade. "With you, can I sign?" Myrna's confused and embarrassed. The castle still thought that Merlin would come and deliver Shirlene Al Cabo. The problem is that Alice is not involved in it. "I escaped and accidentally entered the throne room full of enemies. The prince ordered the zombies to catch them. Isn't it without killing her?" And here, for the first time in Alice's life, has proven that she is not useless. To this point, the girl began to gain confidence in herself. She tells the prince that he surrenders to her, but only the prince. For 10 years, Amir was sitting patiently and waiting. His father dies so that he can remain king. But before that, even close to the throne, the kingdom fell and collapsed. She told him that, frankly, this is a sad topic for the prince. He continued and said that he had waited another 10 years to bring back the lost empire in order to become a second king. During this period, he saw, "I understand his situation, but at the same time, I know that there is many innocent people died and will die because of it. This makes him an evil person. Evil is enough for him to be called that. The main villain has to defeat all the zombies. The only one in front of her is the prince.
Quite simply, he summons them again quickly to finish the ban who has it and starts thinking, I wonder if it's Merlin. He comes to save her or what, and Merlin actually appears in a legendary entrance. He smiles sarcastically and says, no, I didn't come too late, so that's the right thing. Instead of thanking him, you bark like a dog and say, if only Knife Bleb was in your place, he would have saved me sooner. It wasn't that late, Merlin. Can't believe she is so ungrateful, that she thinks of him all the time, the one who saved her life, and yet she acts like this, as if the old prince had never done anything to her. He tried to get their attention, but they both ignored him. They were just fighting like little kids. Merlin was able to control the situation alone and does not need his late dramatic entry. They both have very loud voices, they are fighting. Shirley is watching the fight from afar, this emotion, and you find it delicious. But the prince, he kept losing his temper and telling Merlin not to be fooled by yourself. Just because you wiped the ground 4 times heroes, I have an endless zombie army. Merlin, he looked at him with contempt, and with one sword strike, he wiped out all the zombies that the prince summoned coldly. He says, I don't have time to hit an old loser like you, so let the lady behave, consider it an exercise. She wanted to silence this prince a long time ago, so she took out the sword.
She attacked, dodging his blows and then breaking the shield. The prince is very surprised that her sword is not. Normally, you proudly say that this sword is called Light. This legendary sword, Prince tried. They resisted me, but she said I armed him, and I turned him into an unarmed one. She decided to hand him over to the kingdom instead of killing him. She lets herself go for a moment and loses her focus and the prince. He takes advantage of the opportunity and summons the mythical Ace. It looks like an octopus stretching out its branches and grabbing Shirley. You run to save her and then the prince. He welcomes her in the summer, poisoned with a poison that paralyzes her movement. Now the scales are fixed and the prince thinks that he won because he was sure Merlin would never hit him. Merlin's hand, instead of worrying, starts to make fun of him, Alice, and he says to her, you are the queen of the noobs who are beginners, are unable to move and scream. You say, I didn't lose, he's the one who cheated, you're the reason. Oh, Merlin, why didn't you protect Shirley and leave me? We get distracted, Brillenbird says, why me? Protect one I don't know for free. That is, and both continue to quarrel and their voices get louder again. The prince got bored and told them, enough flirting, I poisoned her with corpse poison, and there is no cure for it. If you want her to live, give me the key, the identity that Bernard Merlin suddenly stole from him. He takes the matter seriously and asks him, do you even know? What does this key do? What does this key do? You know about the messengers, so how did you make a deal like this with them so that you can have this strength? Merlin told him that it is impossible for me to be defeated in front of them. But it is clear that you have become an obedient dog to the messengers. He tells him it is shameful for you to remain part of the family. The owner, you have no dignity. The prince said to him, I don't care about dignity anymore. I want absolute power and that's it. And the king promised me ultimate power. His army is invincible, and he admitted that it actually worked a deal with the king of identity himself. The prince was convinced with all that he did, he will be able to do more than just that. He rules the village, but also the whole world will be like that with dirty fingers. He asks Merlin again. You look at Merlin and say to him, don't do that. She gets lost, but Merlin doesn't listen to her and gets up. He helps Mrs. Ohm and tells her that he has decided to leave to heal your wounds. She said knowingly. Side effects ask if they start to end. I wonder what will happen to Nightblade. Merlin responds while he is done and tells her that it is not necessary to imagine because the real Nightblade is standing in front of you. Isn't she trying to get out of this embarrassing moment? Quickly, she tells him that it's over, so he has to go and save Shirley, who is the monster attacking her with his hose. Suddenly, he hears her words in one fell swoop, but Sifu cuts the monster and frees Shirley. Shirley runs to Alice, hugs her, and tells her, you kept your promise when you told me to be the closest person to you will come to save us. Isn't she ashamed? And Merlin is the first one. One time, he hears these words instead of making fun of her. The prince is smiling on the other side.
The key is on the altar, and the identity gate begins to open. And the whole world is filled with the smell of death. Shirley can't take it anymore and faints. It's not like an army of zombies is starting to emerge now from the gate. Alice shouts at him and tells him, "Behave now, you idiot." Merlin takes the time seriously. Suddenly he releases his full power. The machine coming out of him delivers strong shocks. He expects any living creature around him, and then a sword appears. And he delivers a single devastating strike. Not only that, she eliminated all of the dead and also cleared the gate from existence and cleaned the whole world in a second. I was shocked. I couldn't believe that Merlin was strong enough to this extent. Merlin suddenly falls into a state of frustration, says, "I have now destroyed thousands of monsters that are legendary in seconds, and I couldn't even absorb their power because of them. The dead are a loss. If they were alive, I would have lived. Live like a king and be lazy with the comfort of the prince who is still. I live." But as a kind of black comedy, he starts to compensate the children and says, "My dream every day is a year of effort wasted in a second at the hands of one man." A prince shouted at him, "Who are you? Merlin brought you here," and he came back coldly and said to him, "An ordinary adventurer who even lies and tells us to follow him." The prince goes crazy and says, "It is impossible to love such strength. I'm not into thrones or this prince talk, who doesn't know that he is talking to the king of demons, a king who will live in fractions of endless wealth, a harem of beauty, everything you wish for. But Merlin, who you are living in illusions, this king is not sitting. The king is immersed in work day and night, and paper they insult you, even though you work day and night. This is another mountain of debt that you will never pay off. That's why I prefer to be a lazy adventurer. To live my life, I don't care about the throne or the rule of the prince's world." The old man can't believe how anyone can give up power. All the ambition is just to sleep, but it seems that Merlin opened the eyes of the walking corpse. This prince that which frankly is very logical, since there is no one who was able to defeat him before than Prince Jerry. No one knows where Merlin is going. So he is standing like this and says, "What's the situation with this man?" She said, "I see that the old man is in a state of psychological collapse. But at least I'm happy that everything is over. The crisis has not solved Brian Wallace and Shirley. We are now returning to Rixon in a horse carriage. Inside the Arabic language, aren't you trying to talk to me?"
Merlin thought she was thanking him for what he had done. He told her, "Don't pay gold instead of just talking." "Of course, don't you want to thank him at all? Why should you thank him?" She thinks that he is the cause of all these troubles. She tells him that if he had handed over the key to the kingdom, from the beginning they were not going to get involved in misfortunes. The ancient empire was not going to be kidnapped. And all of this does not happen. Merlin keeps talking, and what Radash knows that he will never win an argument with her. After a while, Said said a little, and I asked him why it was Saturday. The walking corpse flees. Merlin replied coldly. The man told him, "Okay, it's not necessary. He deserved even a second of my time, but he said his name." Merlin argues with her and says, "The kingdom, behave, it's not my job to be a hero. I just entered." Because he was silent, Alice suddenly picked up the word and said, "He finished your sentence, Merlin." He tried to change the subject, said that he felt that he had to be saved the situation, and it is certain that he did not risk his life to save. He stopped half-sleeve like her, even though he was in fact a risk in his life. Because of her very love, these words are fond. Between them, they started fighting each other again, and the sound was loud. Shirley was right when she opened her eyes and saw herself inside the car. I thought they had sold it again. She blocked her and told her, "Merlin has finished with an army all hell," because Shirley can't believe that brother, the great Merlin call of this class in all the situation was hilarious and made itself known to Merlin. I asked him innocently, "Are you a real lover, aren't you?" Because Alice was saying that all the time Merlin will come to save her. Alice's cheeks turned red and she didn't want Merlin to confess, so he took advantage of the opportunity and laughed. He told her, "I mean, you were sitting there giving and waiting for it, I will come to you." Alice told him to shut up quickly, and I won't want to while he stood and fell on top of Merlin. As the door opened, they found Hopsy and Rossetti standing watching the scene at that time. They couldn't stop themselves and ask, "Have you entered the month of hardship, or what comes after it?" Everyone went to the Adventurers Guild to celebrate with Alice and Merlin's great victory. Rossetti is favored. She praises Merlin out loud and says he took a risk with his life to save his precious wife and himself. At that moment, she came close to him and said to him in a whisper, "What? Don't waste your youth with a nervous woman like Alice Arkib. With me." Alice heard the words immediately and withdrew. Merlin is away and tells her he is busy with Shirley. She called him and said, "Can I get a commission from you to take me to Beatus?" She replied and said, "No, my daughter, there is no need for formalities. I was going to do that for nothing." But Merlin quickly refused and said, "I am not a charity, and I will not work for free." She was about to kill him at that time, but Shirley said, "Okay, I will pay you all my expenses as a reward." As Princess Hesher's allowance, Alice and Merlin received 1,000,000 gold. They were shocked and froze in place. Merlin felt that a bag with the grand prize, which was the whole time he neglected Shirley, and suddenly started treating her with extreme care, disrespect, even took her hands and said to her, "Adimi, the request is official, and I am on duty, my lady." At the time, Lucia arrived and brought them a new commission from Cecilia, who first saw Merlin preferred, screamed and tells him, "Why didn't you come to save me? Nicknames, since you insulted me last time, then you have to help me now." Merlin is happier than this in his life, especially when he sees it. The commission comes after the other, and that's it. Our story ended today. Before we finished our story, don't forget to pray to the Prophet. May God bless him and grant him peace. May God bless him. And don't forget to like and share. Comment on the video, because this is what encourages us to continue. Even if you are new to our channel, subscribe and activate the bell button to receive all that is new. I see your face as well.